605. Let's see, it is my pleasure to introduce the fourth grade students of Valimar School, Annie, Jag, Scarlett, Lola, Miles, and Kayla, who will lead us in the flag salute, read the land acknowledgement, and provide highlights of their school.
Pledge to the flag of the United States of America, to the republics for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do you have the land acknowledgement? Oh,
The Pacifica School District acknowledges that we gather on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Ramaytush Ohlone people.
As guests, we humbly extend our gratitude to the Ramaytush Ohlone elders and community.
We recognize that we benefit from living and working on their traditional homeland, and we affirm their sovereign rights as First Peoples. As the original stewards of this land, the Ramaytush Ohlone understand the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with nature.
Likewise, the Pacific School District commits to teaching our school community how to be responsible stewards of this land.
Would you like them to introduce themselves? Yeah. Okay. So why don't you all stand up together? Annie, would you introduce yourself?
Well, my name is Annie, and
My name is Miles Van Yearwage, and I am Miles.
My name is Lola. My name is Kyla, and I'm a fourth grader at Valimar.
my name is Jag, and that's all.
My name is Scarlett.
Art class is my favorite thing at Valmont. We get to make things from clay. We also get to experiment around with shades, going from light to dark. You can also make things to bring home and share with your family.
My favorite part about being at Valimar is the pony plop. It's a time when every class gathers around our track to meet a pony. You have a chance to buy tickets, and if the pony plops in your square, you win some money. This year, we have it on October 17th. Library is my favorite thing at Valimar. I like to read books, and there are a lot in our library. Our librarian, Miss Julie, is also really nice. She sometimes reads to us. I like that.
My favorite part about being a Valimar student is the Fun Fall Fest. I get to interact with my friends at after school hours. I can't wait till October 17th.
I really enjoy the teachers at Valimar. They are super kind, even though we make some mistakes. They also help us with our math problems or ELA problems. They don't blame, they ask first.
Thank you.
Good job.
And Barbara, could you take roll?
Yes, no.
Here.
Easy fast. Get here, but keep our here.
The district records the audio portion of the meetings. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. All public comment must be made in person unless the board member will attend remotely or as otherwise specified on the board agenda. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please complete a request card with your name, address, and the item number and submit it to the board president or superintendent. You will be called to address the board and may speak for up to 3 minutes. Please note the public is welcome to provide comment to the board. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended or are limited by a vote of the board. A maximum of 20 minutes, unless extended by the board, is allocated for each subject discussed. Brown Act open meeting regulations, under which the board must operate, do not allow board members to comment on non-agenda items or information you may bring up that are not on the agenda. Additionally, no action can be taken. However, the board may give directions to the staff following a comment. Okay, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
All in favor, please raise your hand. You pass this 4-0.
Okay. Report out on closed session topics. No reportable action was taken on any of the closed items at this time. Okay, approval of the consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda will be approved with one motion, which is not debatable and which requires a unanimous vote for passage. If any member of the board, the superintendent, or the public so requests, any item shall be removed from that section and placed on the regular order of business following the consent agenda. I want to pull item G. And so do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, not including item G? Do I have a second? Okay.
No, you got it. All in favor? Passes.
Okay, item G, approval of the board policy and its administrative regulation 1240, volunteer assistance, BP and AR 6153, school-sponsored trips, AR 3541.1, transportation for school-related trips. And we have one public speaker on this item, Tara Knotts. Is she here? Is Tara Knotts here?
Coming.
Real quick comment. Right. Real quick comment.
On
It's item 8G.
a real quick comment on the transportation. You don't have public school buses in there. And I don't know about gen ed, but special ed, the older kids work on life skills. And they used to take buses from whatever, their school to the post office or the store as part of their life skills. So I just want to make sure that that is still happening, that they don't have that removed from their opportunity, because I know in high school they definitely take the buses. And I think in middle school they do too. So just check your transportation policy for public school public buses, not hired buses. Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, so we can now take a vote on item 8G.
I'm sorry, this is really loud today.
Just
Sorry, I'm gonna abstain from this vote, just for full transparency as my role, for Pacifica School Volunteers Executive Director, just in case of any, conflict of interest. I'm cautiously going to abstain.
do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
All in favor, please raise your hand. You pass this 3-0. 3-0.
That's, yeah, 3-0. Okay. Superintendent and board special recognition. Speakers, Dr. Bowman and Laura Vuskovic.
Sorry. Okay. Good evening, Board of Trustees, guests, friends, employees. At this time, we'd like to take a moment and give a very special person a certificate of appreciation. I'm going to have those who know her best just talk a little bit about what she has done and with the amount of time and the services she provided, this is a small token to the amount that she's contributed to Pacifica School. So I wanted to thank her.
Hello, everybody. Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Bowman, Cabinet, community members. I'm Laura Vuskovic, the principal at Valleymar School, and I'm going to take a moment to recognize Marilyn Weisgarver for all that she's given to our school and community. Way back in 2013, fourth grade teacher Kelly Edelhart asked Pacifica School volunteers for some extra math support in her classroom, and that's when Marilyn stepped in. She's been with us ever since. That's over 10 years. Marilyn has worked with so many of our fourth graders, helping them figure out tough math problems, building their confidence with math, and being someone they know they can count on and connect with. I know Kelly has truly enjoyed working alongside Marilyn all of these years. After retiring from computer programming, she decided to give back in new ways, volunteering not only in classrooms, but with Pacifica Gardens, where she combines her love of gardening with her love of community. We deeply value all the incredible school volunteers from Pacifica School Volunteers. And Marilyn, like so many, are a true testament to the strong giving spirit of Pacifica. We're so grateful for Marilyn's time, her care, her lasting difference that she's made for kids in our school. Thank you so much, Marilyn. Yeah, I just wanted to take a quick picture over here, and I think we have some flowers for you. Thank you so much.
I'll follow you. Okay. I'll get.
Hi, thank you. I'm Chris, the superintendent.
We do a quick picture up here. We're very good. Just turn around.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Kelly. Yes. Flowers enter.
Yes.
Do you want to hold the right? Laura, are we ready? 1, 2, 3. We're looking. So cute. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't know.
I don't want to.
Yeah, let me hold this for you.
Okay. I haven't done this before.
No, well, thank you very much for doing this.
Thank
And
you.
then she-
I'll help you.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Excuse
Okay.
me. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you want to say anything?
I love working with her students. And-
Fourth graders are
And
fun.
working with her, she's a marvelous teacher. And I don't know, I've been having a good time. I love helping the kids. They're very appreciative. And I get to see them in later years sometimes, all grown up. So, thank you. Thank you. I let my bag over.
Okay.
Okay, communications, LSEA.
Good evening. LSEA held our first union meeting last week. Each site is facing its own challenges as we begin the school year. With many leadership vacancies and unanswered questions about processes moving forward, there is understandable anxiety and unease among staff members. Yesterday, LSEA leadership had a meeting with Dr. Bowman and Ms. Ladd to share those concerns. We appreciated their attention and apparent desire to get to solutions. We hope our members will see meaningful improvements on the issues we raised. A significant portion of our discussion centered on the board's technology policy agenda item. LSEA has previously sunshined Article 15 of our contract, which addresses safety. A key part of our intent was to ensure stronger protections for members related to technology use. The proposed board policies include numerous edits and new user agreements. We provided some suggestions and shared some of our concerns. We shared concerns with the language around the use of artificial intelligence and the clarity and emphasis on not only our use and implications of this tool, but also for student use. While we were unable to resolve this last year, we remain committed to securing contract protections this year. Alongside those protections, staff must also be given adequate time to learn, understand, and model appropriate use of AI. We are already seeing an over-reliance on AI across the district, and it is important that we set thoughtful boundaries and practices as a district. Outside of negotiations, LSEA is hoping to get explanations from San Mateo County regarding the new pay system, Frontline. Most checks were incorrect in August. We received a second check today, and still we are short the money owed to us. We hope as board members you are aware of that and that you will be using any leverage you have with the county to ensure our pay is straightened out and squared away. You have all received the invite to the LSEA and CSEA social that is coming up, and we look forward to seeing all PSD employees and board members at the event. We believe that through ongoing dialogue and collaboration, we can ensure progress that benefits not only our members, but also the students and families of Pacifica. Thank you.
CSEA?
Good evening, trustees, superintendent, cabinet, and guests. As you are already aware, CSEA's contract with the district expired on June 30th, 2025. CSEA remains optimistic that the district will finalize its sunshine items, hopefully by the next board meeting, and obtain board approval in a timely manner, allowing negotiations to proceed without further cancellations or delays. We understand that with all of the transitions taking place this year, timelines have been impacted. However, we sincerely hope that the district can finalize its sunshine items soon so we can move forward toward a renewed contract. Our chapter's negotiating team is eager to continue working collaboratively with the district. We deeply appreciated the district's willingness to meet without legal counsel during our August session. That meeting was both productive and constructive, and it gives us confidence that meaningful progress is within reach. We are ready and committed to resume negotiations and to make real progress on behalf of our members. We are aware of your scheduled meeting with LSEA on September 17th, and we sincerely hope that our negotiations scheduled for the 18th will proceed as planned. Last year, cancellations caused significant concerns, and we want to emphasize the importance of prioritizing CSEA negotiations this year. She gets to do the fun stuff.
On a positive note, we are pleased to share that interviews for one of our lead maintenance positions have been completed, and we still have one more to fill. We also had a strong pool of candidates for the senior lead maintenance position, and offers have been extended. Speaking of our maintenance department, we would like to take a moment to recognize the entire classified maintenance staff for this month's Above and Beyond recognition. Custodians, groundskeepers, and maintenance workers have been going above and beyond for years, continuing to do their best despite ongoing staffing shortages. This summer, in particular, they worked tirelessly to prepare our site so that the students and staff could return to safe and welcoming campuses. Finally, we are also looking forward to our LSEA CSEA Back to School Get Together on September 25th at 4 p.m. at Sharp Park Restaurant. This gathering is a great opportunity for both groups to come together, build stronger connections, and celebrate the start of the school year. We thank our members for their dedication. We thank the district for its continued collaboration, and we look forward to seeing progress at the bargaining table soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. People wishing to address the board. I have Jordan Steele.
Right outside.
Huh?
She's right outside.
Oh, okay.
Just heard her through the window.
I'm just gonna get my notes really quick. Okay, my name's Jordan Steele. I have two kids at the Ocean Shore Sunset Ridge campus. This is one of them. I wanted to come here and talk to you about my other child. He is in 3rd grade. He's 8 years old, and I wanted to talk about mental health and how his mental health is being affected by the switch up to Sunset Ridge. I know you guys made a vote and you made a decision, and the decision. You're okay. Your decision has been made and the change has happened. So now we're in it. And I just wanted everybody to kind of stop and go back a little bit and think that there's side effects to your decision to merge the schools, to co-locate, to close schools. And one of those side effects is really affecting my child. And so many times in all of these emails that we've seen that the communications happen from the district, people have said, think of all the children, all the children. So when people are upset about their school closing or different changes happening, their life changing, people said, think of all the kids, think of all the kids, not this small group that's upset, not this group who is like inconvenienced, think of all the kids. So when I'm upset and I'm emailing and I'm talking to staff at Sunset Ridge, I'm talking to principals, vice principals, teachers, I almost always end my emails with, does my child, insert name here, does my child, is he included in all the kids? Or is it only the kids who have parents who are not vocal, who are parents that are happy with this decision, who are parents who have parents that are quiet? And I just think it's so disheartening that my child, I feel, is being punished due to me being vocal about my upsetness, that my choice that I had for my kids they range. And so I made a choice for Ocean Shore. I made a choice that would last 15 years, not 8, not 9, not 5. So I just wanted to put that out there that there's a snowball effect of your decision. And I think being proactive and not reactive and having a plan would be ideal. It's okay. Let's not touch. But I would have just really loved if there was a better plan for how we're going to address these kids that are struggling. They're struggling with the transition. We all know that transitions are hard for adults. Like, imagine being a little kid and not knowing your feelings. It's hard. It's extremely hard. And we know that we don't tell people to shake it off anymore. We don't tell people fake it till you make it. We don't go around telling people to smile. We don't do that anymore because we know that it affects them negatively. And that's not how we address mental health concerns, people's anxiety, depression. That's not how we address it. And so I'm just here in front of you guys to ask that you take a moment, and this decision is made, but we start being proactive in how we're going to help these kids transition. So I can speak for my child. He's at my house every day, but 25% of his life is spent at Sunset Ridge, and 25% life does not have. And so we can do something to help all the children, including mine. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Let's see. And I have Grace Sobieski.
So I wanted to come up here today just to point out some facts about the current status of our district. Number one, loss of 110 students from this year's projected enrollment. Number two, turnover of our superintendent after just 2 years and nearly an entire cabinet within a year and a half. Number three, $7 million spent on new classrooms at Valleymar and Ocean Shore School that will never have students actually sitting in them. We have communication from bond manager CC Wang with Darnice Williams, dated before ground was broken, asking if she wished to move forward with construction given the likelihood of an upcoming school reconfiguration. We all know where that led. Number four, shady timing of suddenly and urgently needing to move locations of this district office. Plans to spend $7 million on a new district office despite a temporary location that is more than sufficient. Shouldn't we be spending our funds in a way that most directly impacts our students? Number five, the reconfiguration of Ocean Shore was supposed to amount to a cost savings of $600,000 per year.
But the district then hired an additional vice principal to support OSSSR and an additional vice principal to support IBL, which combined, I'm estimating, amounts to approximately $400,000 of that $600,000 saving. Then we spend $1,000 a day on a PR firm to provide listening sessions that went nowhere. Let's talk about the loss of ADA. Those 110 students that we weren't projecting to leave the district amounts to $1.4 million a year that we're going to be losing because people are upset and we lost trust in the district. Also in the 2024-25 school year, K-5 classrooms at Ocean Shore averaged 22 students in a seat, but since they've merged up to Sunset Ridge, they're down to 18 students in a seat. So much for staffing to ratio. That actually hurt us in our staffing to ratio. Oh, and we've lost about half our Ocean Shore school teachers. And now the district will be moving in to the Ocean Shore campus. So there goes utilities and facilities maintenance fees. That cost saving is now gone as well. So where's actually the cost savings? It actually cost us more to wind up moving there. And the moving costs as well. And number 6, we have not had a school board election in 11 years. I think we're past due. It's time for Pacifica School District to be supported by new leaders that actually value transparency, communication, community, and trust. Thank you.
Okay, board and superintendent, correspondence and communications.
I'll start. I want to say that I really appreciate people taking the time to share thoughts via email. Let's see. I want to thank a family who sent a kind note about their child's teachers. They shared that they saw a swirl of negativity on social media, and it meant a lot to be reminded of the dedication and care our educators bring every day. I attended open house at IBL and caught the tail end of Ocean Shores open house. IBL is always such a lively, positive school. At Ocean Shore, Miss Virginia was sharing details about outdoor ed with families, and it was really informative and also entertaining, and it showed me that our educators have big hearts for students. I participated in the Pacifica Collaborative meeting where Mayor Beckmeyer and City Manager Woodhouse gave a presentation on city planning and the challenges facing Pacifica. Our city and schools share a lot of the same struggles, balancing budgets while protecting the character of our community. The budget task force put together by San Mateo County Office of Ed continues its work. And that's it. Thanks.
Microphone.
So I started off by going to the school funding task force meeting through the county. And this is the task force where we're trying to change how certain districts like ours are funded. And so we get more money. I met with Dr. Bowman twice since the last meeting. I attended the Sunset Ridge PTO meeting. I received my CSBA certificate in ethics training, AB 2158. I went to the Sunset Ridge Ocean Shore PTO general meeting. And then the last thing I wanted to report out was the back to school night at Sunset Ridge. I didn't know whose classroom was whose, so I just walked into any classroom, and one of them was Mrs. Birdseye, and she's a 5th grade teacher. And I'm going to just read, she gave this little handout of herself, and one of the things she said is our classroom is a diverse and vibrant community where everyone feels safe, valued, and seen. She has a lot of favorites, but I'm just going to say her favorite movie is Coraline. Fun facts, I'll just say one. She studied abroad in the UK. And she was very excited about the field trips and the parents who were in there. And she also gave the curriculum, reading, writing, and arithmetic, you know, so. Then the next one that I went into was Miss Gal, and she's a first grade teacher. And one of the things she mentioned is our classroom will be a vibrant community of learners where everyone is encouraged to share, explore, and support one another. Her favorite movie is Lilo and Stitch, and she's lived in Pacifica since she was in the first grade, and she teaches first grade. So that's pretty amazing. I just wanted to give a shout out to Dr. Kunda, because the energy of the back to school night was very energized, positive. It was just a buzz. I mean, I felt like, oh, wow, look, everybody's here. And so it was really exciting to go to that back to school night. And I just wanted to mention one more thing, because I did have a correspondence. I had a correspondence with one of the teachers at Annunciation School where the shooting happened. And the reason I did is because he was one of my childhood friends. And another best friend of mine had her niece and nephew going. 2 of the 3 are okay. One of them's still in the hospital. But I just want to note that safety has always been one of my concerns, where I even walked around the schools and did safety checks to make sure, especially with our intercoms, the doors being locked. If it could happen at Annunciation, which is a wonderful community, upper middle class, it could happen in Pacifica. So I just want all of us to be as safe as possible.
No. I had my regular meeting with Dr. Bowman, and I also attended the CSBA ethics training. So that's pretty much it for me.
Okay. I had several workforce housing meetings and meetings with Dr. Bowman that we do regularly. Went to back to school night at Cabrillo, which was a lot of fun to see everyone there, and really big group there, and they had their PTO meeting that night also. And then I was invited to the Sunset Ridge PTO meeting to give an update. And so I zoomed in on that at the beginning, and I think I'll be attending fairly regularly up there, and probably Cabrillo also, since I'm assigned there.
So I also attended training through CSBA, ethics training, and then today I was with Trustee Hart and going over governance training. We also are taking the school shootings and violence very seriously. We have met with the Pacifica PD to talk about ways that they can help us, train us, put things in place. And they have also asked for our assistance in training, possibly on speaking with children, knowledge of different disabilities. And so we're really excited about the partnership coming up. I also did several workforce housing activities and meetings. And the DO Planning Committee for the Move is a staff-based committee. And we just went through the air quality report twice with our staff, and there are concerns. And so we continue to plan for the move to 411 Oceana Boulevard, but it will be a systematic move and making sure that all of our staff stay safe.
All right, we're going to go to item 11, information items. LSEA initial proposal for the 2025-26 school year. Successor negotiations, Rachel Merlot.
Good evening. Is this on? Do I have to turn it on? Is that fine? Okay. Hello. Laguna Salada Education Association for our proposal for the 25-26 school year successor contract. Pursuant to Government Code Section 3547, Laguna Salada Education Association hereby sunshines or submits the following initial proposal to the Board of Trustees for public hearing and adoption regarding the 25-26 contract negotiations. Pursuant to Section 1.4 of the contract negotiated agreement, such agreement shall continue in effect year by year until a new contract is negotiated. Even though at this time the full contract is open for negotiations pursuant to Section 1.4 of the 23 to 2025 negotiated agreement, such agreement shall continue until a new contract is negotiated. The following articles are open each year. Article 7, calendar. LSEA has an interest in developing a calendar that meets the needs of our staff and the community. Article 9, compensation. LSEA has an interest that unit members are compensated with a package that will attract and retain qualified teachers and compensate them for their time and effort in the form of total compensation, which includes salary and benefits. This we feel will help the systematic teacher crisis in the district. The following articles are of specific interest to the Laguna Salada Education Association as per the above mutually agreed upon ones that are open each year. The below are of specific interest, but not an exhaustive list, as the full contract is open this year. Article 8, hours. LSEA has an interest in discussing our members' duty day and professional obligations. Article 11, class size. LSEA has an interest in discussing class size and class size impacts. Article 15, safety conditions of employment. LSEA has an interest in discussing our members' right to a safe working environment. Thank you.
Okay. Item 11B, state assessment scores analysis for Pacifica School District. Dr. Bowman and Dr. Red.
Yeah. Good evening, Ms. Reno.
Oh, okay.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. So this is Dr. Joel Rabin. He'll present an analysis of the state assessment scores for the Pacifica School District for last school year, so 2024 through 2025. Thank you.
This thing? This one?
It's the small flat one on the top.
This?
Yes.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joel Rabin. I am a researcher and data consultant. I spent about 25 years working inside school districts. I worked for Elk Grove and Fresno Unified, two very big districts in California, and then Natomas Unified as associate superintendent. And now my work is helping school districts like yours understand their student data, their achievement results, their California School Dashboard. So I work with districts and county offices of education to do that kind of work. So I'm happy to be here today. I've been working with Pacifica for about a year now. That's the one. This one?
Yeah.
Okay. So tonight, what I'm going to do is share two kinds of data, your student achievement results on the CASP test, and then I'll share some English language learner results. So first, the CASP results. I put some icons throughout the presentation to identify some trends. I'm not going to read all of the slides, so I thought the icons may be helpful for you to identify where there's been some improvements. Excuse me, some high scores, and then some areas where there's some achievement gaps for students and schools. And if you have any questions as I'm presenting, please stop me. So first, some important notes. This is preliminary data. The state has not released the public data yet. They'll be releasing data for all the schools in the state of California sometime in October. And when they do that, we'll be able to see our results for Pacifica in comparison to the state. So if we improved 1%, did the state also improve, or did the state say the same? So we'll know that information in a few weeks. The state results should be, like I said, out in October, and the results that I'm presenting tonight may vary slightly from what the state ends up publishing on the state website. Wanted to share also kind of a big picture context. Change happens slowly in student achievement. This is student achievement data going back many decades. I've got California data here, national data, and then the more recent CST and CASP data for the state of California. And generally what you can see is even over decades, reading levels improve very slowly. We were improving as a state with the CST test, and then they changed tests in 2014, 15. And then we started with this new assessment called the CASP test. And then the pandemic hit. So with all of the things that happen in life, I just wanted to point out that we don't see growth year over year. It's not expected at the state or national level that things are just going to constantly improve. That doesn't usually happen. Here's our English language arts results for Pacifica. I have a purple dotted line for your county and a yellow dotted line on some of these slides for the state. And you can see that that ends in 2024. As soon as we get the new data, I'd be able to update these slides for you and give you a little more information. But we're doing better here than the state of California and a little below the county on average, where about half of our students are meeting English language arts standards. In math, we dropped a few percentage points this year, so 3% fewer total students meeting standards. But for math, we've actually been historically above both the county and state. So we'll know soon if we stay above the county when those results come out. There's a lot of information on this slide. This is basically a slide that summarizes the whole report, the district trends. So about half of our students are meeting English and math standards. There's a bit of an achievement gap between some of your schools. As you probably already know, some of your schools perform higher than other schools. Some high scores, fourth grade students perform very high in both English and math. Students scored at or above grade level on the iReady test, which is the iReady is a local test that your district gives. Many districts across the state use iReady, and there were other companies that have tests. And what's nice to know is that the tests that the teachers are giving during the school year testing kids is giving them pretty good information about how the kids will perform on the state test. So when kids perform well on the iReady test during the school year, they also perform very well on the state test. And another really interesting correlation, which probably is intuitive for many of you, kids who have high attendance rates have high achievement. In other words, when we look at the kids who have lower than 80% attendance, which is chronically absent, really bad chronically absent, they have some of the worst achievement in your district. So when kids are in school and in classrooms, they have much higher achievement. And there's a strong correlation. And we saw that 2 years in a row with your district. And then, as we see in many districts in the state and the state as a whole, Asian students, white students, and students who are 2 or more races perform better than African American, Hispanic, low-income students, students with disabilities. In your district, it's about twice as likely to be meeting state standards. So students who are white, students who are 2 or more races, and students who are Asian are performing much higher than some of those other student groups. Some improvements at the district level, 4th grade and 5th grade both improved on English, and 4th grade improved in math. And then a lot of your student groups improved in English, which is good to see. English learners, students who are homeless, students with disabilities, Latino students, and Asian students. And English learners also improved in math. So these couple of slides are meant to point out some of the successes and things to celebrate that went well last year. The next set of slides include 1 slide per school, and I won't read all of the information, but I'll just point out a couple of things. So Cabrillo Elementary School has performance a little higher than the district overall, and your 3rd grade performance at Cabrillo was the highest at 65% and 57% in math. At Ingrid B. Lacey, higher results than the district on English, but lower in math, and 6th and 7th performed the highest at that school on English, and 6 performed the highest in math. At Ocean Shore, higher performance than the district overall. 5th grade performed the highest in English, and 4th grade in math. And Ortega performed below the district in English, but above the district in math. And again, 4th grade shows up in many of these slides as high performance. So something good is happening at 4th grade. Something is working well at 4th grade. Pacific Independent Schools, math performance improved from 2024 to 25 by 10%, which is really big. And math results were the highest for 5th graders. And really high ELA performance at 70% of students meeting or exceeding standards. Sunset Ridge has lower performance than the district overall, but ELA performance improved 5 points from 27 to 32%, which is really nice to see. Valimar had some of the highest performance in the district. Again, 4th and 5th grade stand out for you. Here's the slide that summarizes the attendance rates. On the left side of the slide is attendance rate, the lowest attendance rates in the district at where students attended 80% or less of the school year. And then we go 85 to 90% and 90 to 95, and then over 95. And as you can see, better attendance just improves student achievement on both English and math. Any questions on the CASP test before I jump into the English learner test? Okay. So the LPAC is the state's assessment of English learners to see if they're making progress in English language proficiency. All English learners take the test when they first initially enroll in a school, and then they take it once a year until they get redesignated to fluent English proficient. There's 4 levels on this test, 4 being the highest, and then 3, 4 meaning that a student has really well-developed English skills. And there's some subtests, which I'll show you in a minute. In your district, 44% of your students are at level 4, which is what the state's goal is for students to be at level 4, just under half. And 76%, 2/3 of your students, or sorry, 3/4 of your students performed at the 2 highest levels, which is really good. These next few slides break down the test into different components. There's an oral component to the test and then a written component to the test. And then oral is broken into listening and speaking, and written is broken into reading and writing. And you can see the dark blue is highest on that speaking section, which happens in all the districts. It happens in the state of California. Students tend to be able to speak English much better than they're able to write it or understand when they listen to it. You can see the smallest blue on the 2 pies are on the right. Across the state, I see the same pattern. Students who are English learners struggle with writing English much more than listening to it or speaking it. These next few slides, really small numbers here, but these are trends by grade levels, with kindergarten being on the far left and 8th grade on the right. And you can see with oral language across all grade levels, there's pretty consistent percent of students that are at level 3 and 4. But with written language, we see actually it drops off over time. As students get older, they tend to struggle more and more with written language as English learners. And then there's a green circle there because students improve performance on the oral language test by 5%, and the written test by 7% in 2025. So when you're talking about successes in your district, those are really big gains, 5% and 7%, things to celebrate. And then here's some district trends compared one year to the next. And this is where you can kind of see those 5% and 7% improvements and increases in both the oral and written language. Made this one too small, I'm sorry. This is showing some of the highlights by school. This is showing bar graphs that show your results for individual schools, and both Ortega and Sunset Ridge had some of the best improvements, which led to the big district improvements overall. And I think that is the end. Let me check my last slides and see if there's any questions from the superintendent or board.
Thanks for the presentation. I was on the edge of my seat. I feel like, there was like not the best news and then really good news. I wanted to ask if you have any thoughts about what happens in 4th grade. Do you see this happening across the state, 4th graders improving so much, or specifically our district?
I can tell you, I was just at another school district today up in Sacramento, and they had big gains at 7th grade. So I think it's district to district, but I'll be able to tell the superintendent in a few weeks if that 4th grade is similar to the state overall. But right now I see different grade levels that are popping with high performance or improved performance.
Thanks.
Sure.
I just have one question, and it's always been at the forefront for me is, are there any school districts that you have reported out to whose economically disadvantaged, homeless, disabled, I mean, where their numbers are increasing? Because ours have always just stayed stagnant or, gone up and down, but it seems like it's just in this like vicious cycle. and we want to get out of it. You know, how do districts, because you see them all over.
Right.
You know, can you think of one that does something where they get
Yeah,
those scores up?
What I would say is it's not one thing they do. I work with a large district, about 10,000 students in the Central Valley, and they have very high performance and very high poverty. They have probably 80% poverty, and they're consistently, when I compare them to other districts, one of the highest performing in the state. But it's not just that they have good instruction. Everything about the district, when you walk into one of their buildings, the way you're greeted, the way they communicate information, the way that all principals are talking and speaking the same language about what's important, the way that the superintendent and the board and the teachers union all work together to improve it. So there's so many things that go into it. I will tell you, as a data person, I like to tell people that it's not about the assessment. All the assessment does is give you information, and what really matters is how teachers use this information in their classroom. So the more teachers can use the data to improve instruction and help their kids, I think that's what's most important to improve the results overall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, did you have any questions?
Just a quick comment. I want to thank you for coming. What Joel does is the CAST, the LPAC. We give the iReady, the attendance. There's data from very many sources, and the state doesn't have them in one location. So he's able to pull it together and help us with the analysis. And our data dialogues will start this week because of the thoroughness, Dr. Raven. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, item 11C, enrollment update, September 2025, and I have a speaker, Tara Knotts.
The enrollment deck is going to show loss of over 100 kids. That's about what we predicted. That's about 1.4 million, 1.3 million, as mentioned earlier. You didn't predict the losses in your second interim report in the spring. In fact, you probably should have predicted those losses in your January 22nd slide deck. It's well known that big changes to schools lead to losses of children. That was recommended to you by a consultant. In any case, while it is accurate that it shows that all school sites had a decrease in enrollment, meaning things that have happened affect all children, not just one set of children. I'm not sure that your pie chart that's going to be shown tells you the best story. It may be accurate, it may be not, but I'm not sure it tells you the full story. I laid the full table from this deck across the grades, across the schools, next to the same table produced last year in October. And then I kind of predicted the number, like the fourth graders from last year moving up to fifth. If you assume all of them are going to move up to fifth and compared it to how many fifth graders you actually have. And I did that for all grades. I see a bit of a different story that your pie chart is not telling you. Board, I hope you go home and you plot this out on your own spreadsheet and look at the story, because it's a similar story, but I think it's telling, from what I see, unless it's an error, the middle school got really hardly hit in seventh grade, which is puzzling. So that maybe that's an error. Maybe I did something wrong, but I think it's worth each one of you taking the time to go plot that stuff out, graph those stuff out, and tell your own story. Thank you.
Okay, enrollment update, Dr. Ladd.
Good evening, trustees, interim superintendent Bowman. I'm here tonight to give you an enrollment update. And here we go. This first slide is a slide of is a chart that shows our enrollment. Down the left-hand side are our schools, and across the top are the grades, and then down are the totals, and then it totals up on the bottom. The Sunset Ridge Ocean Shore total campus enrollment is 525. The TK projected enrollment based on the King report is about the same. They had projected 158. We're at 155. The kinder enrollment was lower than expected by about 39, lower than expected. 39 students who participated in the lottery did not end up enrolling. 23% of those students moved. 35% of those students decided to attend private school, and 42% of those students declined to state or other why they did not enroll. And we see this as an opportunity for working with those families, and I'll talk about that later in the report. If every student who had participated in the lottery had enrolled, our enrollment would have been 260 or just under the projected number. Here's our historic enrollment numbers. As you can see, and as has been mentioned, we're down 111 from last year. Our moderate projected numbers were to be, from the King report again, were projected at 2026. And for 26-27, which is next school year, 2590. They also gave us low projected enrollment numbers at 2583 for this year and 2496 for next year. Our staffing to enrollment has been effective in light of these enrollment numbers, and it does demonstrate the importance of staffing to enrollment. At the beginning, there was a lot of pressure to say open up another one or two TK classes, and by not doing that, we have just the right number of TK classes that are enrolled with the right number of students, for instance. Next slide. I thought we should have some attrition data. So again, we're actually just minus 60 from the projected enrollment. And as you know, Ms. Navat bases our budget on projected enrollment numbers. So we're minus 60 on our projected enrollment. Still not great, but it's something. 48 students moved out of our district, and 45 of our students are attending a private school. This represents a slight increase in our district's attrition rate, which was last calculated in 22-23 at minus 1.8%. So we do expect attrition across our grades, first through seventh grade. And we have had negative attrition since our return from the pandemic. This chart here represents non-returning students by grade level. There's a similar percentage of non-returning students across all of our schools. However, Carrillo having the lowest number of non-returning students, and Ocean Shore having the highest percentage of non-returning students. Carrillo, of course, through the King report, was predicted to have the largest number, or has the largest number of children living in their, I know we don't have enrollment areas, but living in their enrollment section. All of our enrollment area was divided up into sections, and so Carrillo's enrollment section had the largest number of students in it. It's interesting. One of the things that's really difficult in terms of sort of looking at school by school is because we have an open enrollment and parents can move from school to school. It is hard to do certain kinds of math because parents can move from one school completely to another school, and so it can be hard to look at numbers in those ways. Here's the grade distribution of non-returning students. And as you can see, 40% of our, we have an opportunity to bring our TK and Kinder students back. TK and Kinder is non-compulsory grade levels. So it is an opportunity for us to really develop a process, or recruiting, if you will, of students to our schools. And because there you can capture back a significant portion of the students that didn't return this year, right from those 2 grades. We have developed a robust CTE path that's linked to Jefferson High School and the Jefferson High School District and the community college pathway, which I think was really huge, will be a really huge attraction to our district. And then also the development of sports programs, and then our after-school enrichment programs will start to positively define, as well as our music programs. I'd like to say that this is sort of the tip of the iceberg about what's really wonderful about our schools. And as our schools start to make their presentations here, it will really clearly define more positively about what's going on here in Pacifica. Here are our enrollment highlights. Post-lottery, we have 99% of our families received their first choice placement in the TK lottery. New families enrolling have been able to register and complete their registration packet online. Existing families have been able to complete the returning student verification process online. And we are working on moving that process and decentralizing that process from the district office out to the schools, to school sites, to have it supported by our school site secretaries to allow that process to move around, to move through much more quickly. While 99% placement in first choice for parents in their first choice school is very positive, I am concerned about the loss of enrollment due to parents not receiving their preferred placement in the lottery. And I want to look at this to see if changes in this can help improve or impact our retention rate. So, we started off with 82% of our parents received their first choice preference in the lottery. And of course, that moved up as parents declined their placement. So if you were, your first choice placement was school A, and a parent at school A just said, I'm not going to go to school A, we're moving, then that's how you would have gotten into your placement. So what we want to do is we want to look at and say, okay, we are at the start of school at 99%, but is there a way at the lottery process, at the point of the lottery, is there a way that we can move that percentage up so that parents who make that first choice are getting that first choice right away? And so I think that's where me and Jean and Nicole and Dr. Bowman need to put our heads together and make a presentation about what we think, how we think that might work. Thank you. And are there any questions?
I have a question. Did I hear you right? Did you, sorry, in the beginning, did you say that there were 45 or 48 students that didn't get their first choice school, and so they went to a different school, like a different district?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there were a number of students, a number of families that declined to state why they aren't coming here. And then we do know that a certain number didn't come because they're going to private school. A certain number didn't come because they moved. And then there's another large group that declined to state.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I have a question. I know that we're very close to being considered a small school district, and I'm just wondering if there's anything different that happens at that point.
So there's not a specific trigger at a specific number of students, like a number like 2,500 or something that would say, okay, now we're a basic aid district. Ms. Navat could talk to us about what would make us, what's the difference between being in an LCFF funding formula versus being in a basic aid funding formula. And that the ADA is in that mix of determining whether you're LCFF or basic aid, but there isn't like an automatic trigger for that. Am I right about that? Yes, I am. She's working in my office today. It's rubbing off.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Great, thank you.
Okay, item 11D, election cost information. Dr. Ladd. We have two speakers first. Tara Knotts.
It's telling. The leadership, board or cabinet, I'm not sure, is wasting money and time, financial consultants, legal or PR, on a slide deck that may or may be completely irrelevant or unnecessary, as none of us know the likelihood of success of a recall. It is out of your control. It happens or it doesn't. It's a voter's right. Yes, you can talk about cost and timing of new elections, but it's too soon. It sounds political. It feels like yet another PR stunt. It seems a little political personally. I find it curious that you like to talk about the community members having caused you expenses, but you are not discussing in public the expenses that this district has caused itself. On the top of my head, the costly decisions include recently running an inadequate parcel tax in 2024. When within 1.5 years, you're going to have to redo D. That's 2026, I'm pretty sure. It was approved in 2016 for 10 years. So right at the time, you already have the community upset, and you have a mess of national news and people not liking anything to do with public anything. You're going to have to be running a parcel tax if you do. The district spent over $100K on Godby and Team Civics from 2023 to 2024. That's on those two different campaigns they ran. That's not including the actual political campaigns. Now you may have to spend some more of that money. Last year, you spent gobs of money on consultants during those budget collaboratives instead of letting families just talk free and cheap to each other. Educators and families talk free and cheap to each other and trust the community that we could find some solutions, including school closures. We were not given that opportunity to have real conversations free and cheaply. You had to pay a CBO and a financial consultant at the same time last year. You picked a law firm well-known to over-litigate across the state. Your listening sessions did nothing. A full turnover of the cabinet in 1.5 to 2 years is expensive, at least time-wise. It's a risk too, because things get missed. When's it going to stop? After you leave in 28 or 30? I'm not sure we can wait that long. Thank you.
Okay. Then we have Amber Friedler.
My name is Amber Friedler.
To negotiate certain aspects of the recall. However, after agreeing to a meeting, Carissa Bowman reneged on her commitment and as of August 6th, declined to move forward. This decision effectively eliminated any opportunity to discuss alternatives or potential solutions. In the interest of full transparency and to demonstrate my continued efforts to pursue resolution, I will be making a public offering today. I would be willing to withdraw the recall effort against Laverne Villalobos and Elizabeth Bardal if Kai Doggett and Linda Bracchini resign immediately while I am still in the signature gathering phase. Their resignation would reduce the cost of the recall process by removing 2 trustees from being recalled. Since their terms do not expire until 2028, their positions currently jeopardize the district's ability to maintain quorum. If the board is removed, the county superintendent has the authority to appoint temporary members until the community elects new trustees. While this process may seem unusual, it provides critical benefits. Continuity of operations, stability for staff and students, financial accountability, neutral stewardship, smooth transition. In short, temporary appointments ensure steady leadership during a period of transition so the community can elect new representatives with confidence. The estimated cost of a recall election is $127,800 with a high of $153,400. Each trustee resignation would reduce these costs further. It is important to note that the upcoming regular election in November 2026 is a separate and avoidable cost, regardless of the recall. Presenting this regular election cost as if it were caused by the recall is misleading. The last contested election for this district was held in 2014, over a decade ago. Since then, all current trustees have assumed office by appointment without voter input, often due to uncontested races. Required postings announcing open positions and term expirations have not been made accessible to the public. This lack of transparency has deprived our community of meaningful participation in its own governance. The district's claim that recall costs threaten salaries, benefits, curriculum, and student programs deserve scrutiny. If the district is sincerely concerned about pay and benefits, why have teachers seen minimal increases while millions of taxpayer dollars have been mismanaged? The board's decisions have already harmed curriculum and programs, most notably through the closure of Ocean Shore School and Valley Mars Middle School. These choices displaced over 115 students, many of whom have left the district entirely. Families have moved away, property values have declined, and local businesses that relied on nearby schools have suffered. The financial damage caused by board mismanagement far exceeds the projected cost of this recall. Finally, the lawsuit currently pending against the board is a completely separate matter and unrelated to this recall. Its inclusion in official presentations is misleading and further evidence of the board's inability to manage the district with honesty and transparency.
We can say that we're here to discuss changes.
Enough said. Have a good night.
Okay, Dr. Ladd.
Hey, I'm here tonight. We've been receiving a lot of questions from parents and community members about the timeline and details about what happens in a recall election of board members, and many have participated in recall events of governors, so they're wondering, how is it similar? How is it different? So I'm here tonight on information that we have received from our assessor, county clerk, recorder, and chief elections officer of San Mateo County, Mark Church's office. So the purpose of this presentation is to provide general information regarding estimated recall and regular election costs for Pacifica School District as shared by the assessor, county clerk, recorder, and chief elections officer from San Mateo County. The chief elections officer shared this timeline. It goes through the different dates and the timeline of how this process works. Earlier this year, petitions were filed both on 6/18 and 7/10. The petitions were accepted. There are deadlines for signatures. Those deadlines are coming up on 10/16 and 11/7 of this year. Provided those signatures are met, there will be voting on June 26th. The outcome of that voting will determine the next 2 points on the timeline. There has been a separate recall petition filed for each of the 4 board members. And the petition phase requires 5,197 signatures and by the dates described in the timeline. October 16th, and the same number of signatures by November 7th. We received the information on the number of signatures and the dates again from the chief elections officer. This is a closer look at the process for if a closer look at the removal and replacement process. Mr. Church pointed out that in accordance with the election code 111382, if a recall occurs, no replacement candidate would appear on the June 26th ballot. So it's just a recall vote, a yes or no vote. If the recall results in 2 or less trustees remaining on the board, this would not allow for a quorum, and which is a majority of members. To remind everyone, a majority of members is required to conduct official business at board meetings. Without a quorum, the board would be unable to make official decisions, approve budgets, or hire staff. dig in a little bit more, California Ed Code 5094 specifically addresses what happens when a majority of the school board is removed. If this should happen, the county superintendent of schools, in our case, county superintendent of San Mateo County, has the authority to appoint temporarily provisional members to the board until new members can be elected through the regular process. Here are potential costs. Again, the chief elections officer provided us with those costs. Costs are really inherently difficult to estimate because they're based on the number of registered votes, participating jurisdictions, and then the complexity of the ballot. The range here is between $127,800 and $153,400 for the June 2026 recall vote, if that should happen. As was mentioned, the regular election is in November 2026. There are 3 full-term trustee seats scheduled for re-election in November 2026. The current office holders for these positions are Trustee Berdal, Trustee Villalobos, and Trustee Hart. The range for the election in November of 2026 is $114,000 to $136,800, and this would be a typical cost in an regular election cycle. The cost of both the recall and the regular election cycle, though, would be $241,800 to $290,200. Again, this information was provided to us by the chief elections officer in San Mateo County. These are potential financial impacts on the district's budget. Typically, the funds that are needed for a recall budget are not budgeted into our budget. The funds would come out of our general fund or unrestricted funds, and we typically use our unrestricted funds for salaries, benefits, purchases of curriculum, and unrestricted student program funds, unrestricted student programs that we fund with unrestricted funds. There are other costs beyond financial costs, in particular governance stability, potential delays in decision-making during the recall period, the uncertainty of the filling the board seats by the county superintendent, and then, the course of business from when those seats are filled to the November 2026 election. And then, of course, there is an administrative and staff impact of possible increased staff workload to manage the additional elections. So 2 election logistics, additional public record, the potential public records requests, and other stakeholder inquiries. Pacifica School District, of course, remains committed to open communication and transparency as we navigate this process, and we'll continue to provide timely updates and accurate information to ensure our community is well informed every step of the way. Thank you.
Can I ask the question? I understand that these estimates came from the elections office of San Mateo County. Did the potential impact slides come from somewhere outside the district?
The impact slides?
Yeah,
Yeah, we talked with with respect to financial impact, we talked with our financial consultant who helped us develop our budgets in order to understand what our financial impacts would be.
Okay, thanks.
I just want to address some misinformation that has been presented a couple of times here tonight. We are all elected officials. I have 2 official election certificates. The reason that is the 2 elections that I ran, I ran unopposed, and I think that's been happening several times over the years. And so therefore, there have been elections. We're all elected, except for Trustee Hart. And so to say that there was no election is just factually inaccurate. And I want to make sure that everyone knows that we are officially elected officials and that nobody wanted this job but us. Okay. We are here because we want to be here. And this is a hard job and we make hard decisions. It's not been easy at all. And so I just wanted to put that out there because hearing it is just, people will believe that we are up here. We never ran for office. That's not true. We have to go through the official election process. We have to sign up. We have deadlines to meet. And then nobody else wanted the job and we stayed.
Thank you.
Okay, item 11E, first reading, technology policies. Cyrus. It's thunder.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. So tonight I want to present 8 documents, 3 policy, and 5 exhibit. So the first one is the employee use of technology. This policy, it was an update from 2003, and the one we using currently, it doesn't have any information about the AI or the scope of the technology. It just focus on the older device like MP3 player or CD player. So and this is just suggested by the CSBA and for being adopted, which this version is 2024. And the second document is the exhibit E1 to the employee use of the technology. So this one is more related to the district because based of the culture and the need we have, we add items to this part. And let's see that. So, for example, is focusing on the ethical of use the AI by the employee or prohibit them to share any information related to the a student with the AI and etc. The next one is the policy, artificial intelligence policy that, that was the missing piece in our district. And this is the base, that we can use, for the future, build more on it. That, it's talking about the students, they can use the AI, to personal learning. Also, their parents, they can, supervise them. Or it's talking about the AI can be used in our district, but it cannot replace the teacher. So still, the learning plan has to, be created by the teacher, but they can use the AI as the tools. The next items is a student use of the technology, which this one is directly suggested by the CSBA, and the previous one is for the 2023. And this one again is bringing the AI to the policy and the responsibility of the student. They need to take, if there is an approval, AI they need to use. For example, it's talking, that they need to cite the, AI, generated contents, or the district need to teach the student, how to cite those, information from the AI. The next items, is the exhibit for the student use of the technology again. which, is more, is based on what we need the most. Because what CSBA is offer is really general, document, but our culture, our needs sometimes, is different from the other district. So we cover those area here. For example, the AI policy that, is prohibit sharing personal, by the student. They cannot share their information or their, like other student with the AI, or responsible use of social media and AI use. They cannot, like take a picture of the other student, put it in the AI, generate some contents and upload it, in the social media. And such as, recording for the, other teacher. The next items, is the artificial intelligence, guideline for the student, focus on a student. And this one, is based on our research in the district. So we use, this policy for, like a student, they can use the AI to do research, brainstorming or organizing their idea, but they cannot, return that as the homework or the assignment to the teacher. A student must practice honestly and citing the AI. A student must not share personal information. Students are accepted to evaluate AI output, not just, copy and paste without, reading it, or, they should not think that anything generated by AI is true. So it's kind of, we remind them that, they have to think about what is generated. And also because this is part of the policy 6163.4. So the parents, they are, they need to supervise the student at home, and we will do it in, in this district. And the next items is the student device loan agreement. This agreement, I believe it wasn't updated for many years and creates so many problems for us. So we update it and we make it more broad, a scope for, devices, not just for the Chromebook, because our longer plan is, introducing more technology and letting the student to borrow them, such as iPad or, hotspot based on, the student need. So this agreement is covering those. And also is mentioning the cost of repairing, what device, will cost us if it's the screen or if the keyboard. So it's kind of, we try to educate them that this device has the value, and any piece of, this device that is get break will cost the district. And I believe I missed one of the items, artificial intelligence guideline for the staff, because again, this one is more cultural to our, district. Also is based off the 2024 research in the Stanford for the education, and AI. And it's talking about, teacher must use the AI to support the instructor, not replace professional judgment of the student. That means, so if a student, return their homework, the teacher, they cannot put it on the ChatGPT or Gemini to grade it. Still, they have to, grade the student work, by themselves. Talking about the data protection, digital literacy instruction, and more. And yeah, sorry, I know it was a lot, so I tried to talk fast about it. And if you guys have any question.
I just have a comment.
Yes.
I feel like this is gonna be like something that comes in. I kind of feel like AI is moving so fast that we may have to play catch up later.
That's, the AI has pro and cons, honestly. So in 2023, when that policy get approved, so there wasn't that much, like information or anyone using the AI. ChatGPT was super new, but now everyone using it in the daily life. Any device you buy, it has the AI. So it's kind of is as an IT, we think, this is our responsibility to introduce it, having it in place in case of, the teacher decided to use that technology in the classroom, they be able to. Because the reality is this, in the computer science, now in the a job interview, they ask you how to use the AI. They let you to use the AI, to answer those coding problems. So it's kind of necessarily that our students from, young age, they know how to use these tools. Because AI, those platforms is like a computer now. You need to know how to use them. Otherwise, you will be behind.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's probably something we're gonna have to update every year or so. Yeah. If not every 6 months. Okay, thank you. Okay, going on to action items with that thunder outside. Item 13A, public hearing for textbooks and instructional materials. Dr. Bowman?
That would be Dr. Torres.
Okay. Well, just going by my notes.
I know, yes.
Okay.
Hey, good evening, Board President Bradal, trustees, and interim superintendent, Dr. Bowman. This evening, we bring forward resolution number 2025-0910A, a statement of assurance for pupil textbook and instructional materials, ensuring compliance with Ed Code Section 60119 for the adequacy of pupil textbooks and instructional materials for fiscal year 2025-2026. Ed Code 60119 requires that the governing board of the school district shall take the following action. The governing board shall hold a public hearing or hearings and shall make a determination through a resolution as to whether each pupil in each school in the district has or will have prior to the end of the fiscal year sufficient textbooks or instructional materials or both. The district is committed to ensuring that all students have adequate textbooks. District textbooks are up to date with the state-approved cycle and are in adequate supply. At K-8 grades, each teacher has a complete set of textbooks for student use. In addition, each year, the district purchases new consumable materials for the math series. Replacements are also purchased when textbooks are damaged or lost. This year, we are vetting curriculum for English language arts and English language development. The public hearing notice was posted at least 10 days in advance of the board meeting in 3 public places: Pacifica School District Office, Pacifica Public Libraries, and the City of Pacifica, as well as on the Pacifica School District website. The notice is attached to this board agenda item. It is recommended that the Pacifica School District Board of Trustees approve resolution number 2025-0910A, Statement of Assurance for Pupil Textbook and Instructional Materials, ensuring compliance with Ed Code 60119 for the adequacy of pupil textbooks and instructional materials for fiscal year 2025-2026.
Okay, are there any questions? Okay. Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-09-10-A, statement of assurance for pupil textbooks and instructional materials for the fiscal year 2025-26? Do I have a second?
Second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, item 13B, approval of unaudited actuals for fiscal year 2024-25. Dusty Navat.
Superintendent Bowman, cabinet, community members. I'm excited to be here again. It's always nice to kind of close that cycle that we've started so long ago with adopted budget and first interim and second interim, and now our unaudited actuals. So we call it unaudited actuals because our auditors, our external auditors, will actually be here next week to look at this information that we're presenting tonight and all the backup. There's like 70 items we have to upload into their portal to then determine whether or not they agree with the closing numbers that we have. And so that's why you use the word unaudited. It's a very technical, but basically it's our financial report. So you guys all know this, but as a reminder, unaudited or the financial reports for 24-25, we started this way back in March, April, May of 24. You adopted a budget. We came to you in December with the first interim update, came back in March with another update. At adopted budget in June, we brought you estimated actuals and the adopted budget for next year. And then now we're closing that cycle to be able to bring you this document. It takes that 6 to 8 weeks from June 30th to the end of August to do all the things that we have to do, because we want to make sure that we recognize all the revenue that is associated with the 24-25 school year, that we recognize all the expenses that are also associated with that 24-25 school year. So we're recognizing what it costs to educate the students and what financial support that we had. We don't get all of our revenue. We don't get all the money actually by June 30th. We don't pay all our bills by June 30th. And so we go through this process of making sure that we still account for them in the right particular spot. So the revenue, the expenses, it will give us an ending balance for this year, which will then give us a new beginning balance for our adopted budget that was, and I'll do some comparison for you as well. So general fund summary, as you remember, general fund is split into two major components. We have our unrestricted side, that is student attendance, our interest, the costs of whatever is associated with that. We also have restricted resources or restricted grants and programs. And so we have to keep those separate. And so the restricted general fund has their own set of numbers. We have our unrestricted set of numbers, and then we have a grand total, which is into our general fund, which is our main checking account, if you will. So our beginning balance remains the same as it has been all of this time. Our revenue came in unrestricted about 32 million. That's primarily from student attendance dollars that are coming in. Expenses, 26.4. We do then have the requirement of supporting the maintenance of our facilities, as well as the underfunding of special education, which is that 8.5 number that you see as a minus and a plus to both sides, ending with a deficit of almost $3 million, and then an ending balance of about 941. I'll do a comparison to estimated actuals in just a minute, but if I were to add our Fund 17, which is where we're getting our 3%, we're at about 1.8, just over our required 3% of 1.3. On our restricted side, we start with about $4 million. We get about $8 million in that. That is special education, our federal grants, Title 1s, 2, 3, 4, our state grants, Prop 28, cycling through the numbers, some of our A to Gs, some of those kind of things. So those are in there. Those are costs that are associated with it. Special education is underfunded, and our maintenance requirement for our facilities has no funding source other than our unrestricted dollars. So we are required to do that 8.5 million. We ended up with 3.9 million in those. So our grand total over there, just under $5 million. Okay, so there's always the question, okay, we've closed the books now, how does that impact us for next year, right? Because we brought in June estimated actuals. So estimated actuals is going to be these numbers of what we thought they were going to be May, June, and then any updates of subsequent events that might have happened, like salary increases or one-time salary negotiations, those kind of items. estimated actuals was presented back in June. And so we weigh or do that comparison as we go through what that is. The biggest impact is that if the ending balance changes for our financials for 24-25, it has a direct impact to 25-26. So here are the major changes. So we had not a lot of change in LCFF, which is that student attendance. I think it was about $11,000, so I didn't even put it on the chart. Our federal revenues went up just a little bit. That's just some additional grant dollars that we did receive on the federal side. Lottery rate went up over what the estimates were. So we got about $20 more in unrestricted and about $30 more in the restricted side of it. So that brought those revenue numbers up, as well as some additional Prop 28 dollars that we had not, that they redid the allocation for us. On the local side, a lot of additional interest that was in that fourth quarter that came in quite a bit higher than what we anticipated back in April and May. And then we did utilize some of the rental income from Fund 40 for the one-time off schedule salary negotiations. Salary and benefits went up because of that negotiations. And then our supplies and operational costs, which is those consumables, as well as all of those operational, that could be professional development, utilities, travel, communications, those additional charges went down just a little bit. So overall fiscal impact for unrestricted was about $478,000, the ending fund balance going down, and then the grant carryover restricted actually went up. This is a list of the majority of those restricted dollars. And it's important to note that each of these dollars are required to be spent on those programs. So expanded learning opportunities, which is that after school program that we get funded by the state, is required to be spent on that individual program. And all of those are listed there. Our local grants are things like community redevelopment dollars that are sitting in that. We've got some other small grants that are rolling over. And what we have maybe left over in the parcel tax would be in there as well. And those are all under those. So there's a couple of these that are one time. The educator effectiveness has to be spent in 25-26, and the top arts and music also has to be spent in 25-26. Those dollars and those expenses need to go away after this next budget year. So this is a comparison of unaudited actuals, adopted budget, so that multi-year. So as you know, when we present the budget numbers, we always give you the current year and then those next two subsequent years as is required by law. And so you can see what those additional dollars are as well. I gave you the reserve levels that we have at the end of 24-25, including our Fund 17, because we utilize that for that purpose. And then I also provided where we had anticipated the ending fund balance to be as a form of a percentage. So as you can see, we were hoping we would be about 5.3% at the end of this year and next year, and we're actually closer to 4.1 and 4.4. So those differences in the estimates that occurred through the year-end closing process ended up lowering that ending fund balance, which has a direct impact to the beginning balance of next year. We do have other funds other than general funds, so I don't want to ever skip over those. And so this is a list of what all of those other funds are and the ending balances. The building fund is specifically for both our Measure O and Measure G. Has to be spent for those things. And then the bond redemption is the one that the county does on our behalf to pay back the debt against the bonds. So next steps would be for the board to approve the unaudited actuals this evening. We will then, the county will roll over our beginning balances. We'll go through and do our budget modifications to make those adjustments. And then the first interim will come back in December with that updated information as well as the audit report. I would expect that you would hear from the auditors either in December or January for them. Questions?
I have a question. I want to be careful how I word it though,
Okay.
because this is all very complicated. Everything has its own buckets. And sometimes I feel like the audience doesn't understand the whole machine. And so, the reason that you're here with us now is to try to get us on the right track. Not to totally, have a lot of money, because that won't probably happen this year, but so that we don't keep going down, down, down. So in a way, I feel that that was accomplished, that we're not going down because we took action and did something. But can you put that in layman terms for the audience?
So it's always very important to monitor the budget on an ongoing basis. So I was always taught the budget is the educational plan converted to dollars, right? It's that interpretation of decide what you want to do as a board, as a superintendent, as a district, as a school site, and then let's analyze the cost of that, make those allocations, and then stay within that plan. Plans will change. We have 52 less students on my LCFF calculator that I quickly calculated very quickly as Martha was presenting that. And so that will affect a change, right? We'll have a few more expenses that can go down, but not a lot, because the only thing we get to save is consumables. We won't buy quite as many pencils or quite as many papers, but we still have all of the salary costs and all of those kind of things. And so budget monitoring is super important to be able to do that. We focus on unrestricted because that is directly related to the student attendance and what we have a lot of control over for the most part. The restricted dollars have to be spent on those specific restricted programs. We did a budget at 94% ADA. I did a quick calculation. If we can have the kids come 95.9%, we will make up the 191,000 of the less kids that we have. So there's our goal, and there's our bright side, right? I budgeted 94. If we can get the kids coming to school 95% of the time, or not being absent 6% of the time, and only being absent 3.6% of the time, then we can make up those dollars. And there are ways to be able to do that.
And they'll learn and have better test scores, because we just saw that report.
Right. That's right. Kids, when they're not in school, they're going to learn. So doing things like educating and making sure that parents understand that we do get funding. The student comes any portion of the day. So they need to go to the dentist at 10, bring them back after. Bring them to school, take them to the dentist, bring them back, or bring them back after and check them in through the office so that we can check them in that they came into school. If we can account for them, they learn for what time they are here, and we have the benefit of being able to be paid to be able to do that education.
I feel like what you said too, some parents may not know, is if they have an appointment, instead of keeping them home all day, let them come to school, go pick them up,
right?
Take them back.
Yeah. And I always use my daughter as an example that says, when you don't take Loon to school, the district loses $125. Did you know that? She goes, oh my gosh, Mom, I didn't know that. And so now she picks them up or calls Mom and says, he's got an ortho appointment at 10. Can you come get them and then take them back to school? And grandkids are not happy. They don't get to stay with Grandma or Papa, but they go back to school because they learn, right? And the district gets $125, which is happy for me. So.
Thank you. I just wanted clarification. So you mentioned 51 or 52. So that is the actual number of students we lost, not the 111.
So I planned in the assumptions or the data and the criteria that we used to plan for the adopted budget already a reduction. We are 52 lower than what I planned on. So that impact is about 191,000 based on the numbers right now.
Okay.
At 94%. You can make that up if the kids come to school more. Unfortunately, that has a compounding. So that 191 for 26, 27, right? It won't affect us this year. 26, 27 becomes 390, 400,000 the following year and 600,000 the following, because it all builds, right? And so just applying the same criteria that I used. But based on the demographics, we had already planned on some of that loss. It's just going to impact us in 26, 27.
Thank you for the clarification.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that clarification. You said it was 191,000, not 1.4 million. I just want to make sure everybody heard.
My quick calculations, the impact for student attendance for that LCFF revenue for if the enrollment stays exactly like it is right now and we stay at 94% is the projections for 26, 27 for student attendance revenue will go down about 191,000.
Okay, thank you.
I have one quick thing. Reserves are dipping in 25, 26. So, we have to be careful. How careful? do we
Really
have to be?
careful,
Yeah,
really careful,
thanks.
really careful with lower enrollment.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the unaudited financial statements for 24-25 fiscal year to authorize the filing of the statements with the San Mateo County Office of Education?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
A second.
It's actually it's the thing, yeah. Oh, I thought it was thunder. I had it. Okay. Okay. Item C. The awarding of general contractor contract for workforce housing. I have many public speakers. So start with the top of the pile. Harvey McKeon.
Hi, my name is Harvey McKeown. I'm a representative of the Carpenters Union. I wanted to really thank the board for their engagement on this project so far and for not rushing into this important decision. I want to emphasize that there's legal reasons here for a finding that the apparent low is not a responsible contractor pursuant to state law, whether it's the documented performance issues or the labor compliance issues we've raised. They could exhibit irresponsibility. And as the meeting materials state, if that is the case, the board can proceed to award to the second low. But this isn't the only option the board has. Tonight, you can, obviously move to a rebid or take more time to decide and consider the issues. And if you choose very reasonably to table this tonight, I invite the board in the interim to meet and hear from workers we know are willing to come forward and provide testimony to you about their experience on a mid-state job. These worker voices are important, but sadly they couldn't be here tonight as they had to work. But they would be available to meet with you at another time that's convenient for them and for you. So once again, I want to thank you for your engagement, for not rushing into this important decision, and for considering the needs of the local workforce in the decision you take tonight and later down the line, potentially. Thank you.
Okay, Roger Nelson.
Board of Trustees, thank you for giving us the time this evening to meet with you. I'm Roger Nelson. I'm president of Midstate Construction. I think I first have to respond to what Harvey just said. An unknown person who will come forward without a name to claim that they were on a Midstate site is not really any kind of evidence. Let's move beyond that kind of thing. I'm here tonight with 8 of my coworkers. The Carpenters Union has worked very hard to get this job, even though they were $6 million. The next bidder was $6 million higher. And they've leveled a lot of sort of broadsides at us. I feel that if we use this time so that each of us can come forward and tell you a little bit about who we are, it gives you a better chance of making a decision, an important decision monetarily. At the end of the evening, we're going to ask that you award the workforce housing to us. This is a laudable path that you've been on, and I understand it's been over a 10-year program. I understand how hard that is to bring projects to life, particularly through a pandemic. And we were interested in this project. All of us have teachers in our family. Having an affordable teacher and staff housing facility in a neighborhood like this is what originally drew us to being interested in bidding it. So in this long path, you now have a contractor who's done a lot of workforce housing units. We're financially capable. We have an excellent record. And we should be right now planning a groundbreaking ceremony. Instead, the Carpenters have leveled claims that we are not competent. Well, we've been in business 90 years. I can bring forth many, many people. You've received letters from our clients, consultants, contract managers, construction managers, wage compliance consultants. They'll vouch for us. We know how to do this work, and we would be delighted to be awarded the project. The Carpenters have brought forth a biased, cherry-picked set of allegations in an attempt to derail you from awarding the contract to the legitimate bidder. The worry about whether we can perform on this contract is not necessary. We've been around 90 years. We have a bonding capacity of over $600 million. We've done this work over and over again. We have a staff that can perform.
That's the end of the time.
We're live. You stayed with school district 6 million.
The time's up. I'm sorry. We have 10 speakers and the time's up. So I'm sorry. Ben Honswick. I'm not pronouncing that correctly.
Hello, I'm Ben Honswick, Senior Estimator at Midstate Construction. Success starts with preparation. I'm married to an elementary school teacher and see firsthand how much time she spends planning lessons, grading papers, answering parent emails. That extra effort behind the scenes is what makes her classroom run smoothly and helps her students succeed. In construction, it's no different. The quality of the preparation determines the success of the project. To help you understand Midstate's commitment to the district and to the project, here are some numbers that you might be able to relate to. Thousands of personal phone calls were made to engage subcontractors on this project. 17 Midstate employees spent 1,340 hours reviewing bid documents, pre-qualifying subcontractors, analyzing bid proposals, and preparing schedules. 361 subcontractors participated in this project, submitted their bids to Midstate. They were reviewed and we leveled them for completeness. 141 pre-bid RFI questions were submitted to the Brookwood Group to ensure that the project was clarified and that questions and concerns were minimized. Perhaps the most significant number is 12.5%. That's the percentage of California contractors that are signatory to a union. Why should the remaining 87.5% of tax-paying contractors be excluded from public work? Why would you deny your students? Would you deny it if your students were in your classroom? Midstate has a strong relationship with both signatory and non-signatory contractors. Our diverse and inclusive approach ensures that we meet all regulatory requirements while providing all bidders an equal opportunity. This broad bidding pool creates more competition, saves the taxpayer money, and provides the district with the greatest value. Local 217 keeps sending you letters stating that you need to do your fiduciary responsibility. Didn't you do that when you pre-qualified Midstate Construction? Isn't your fiduciary responsibility also to the 87.5% that aren't signatory? Shouldn't you be finding the greatest value to fund your facilities and pay your teachers? Couldn't the district use the $6 million saved by using Midstate Construction to negotiate a new deal with the teachers? Our estimate isn't just a number. It represents thousands of hours of study and preparation. We passed the final exam. We have the highest grade in the class. We are the pre-qualified, low responsive bidder. Will you award us the project, or will you deny us a passing grade because of fear, bias, prejudice, or just plain old peer pressure? We are confident in our price. We know the work, we understand the challenges, and we're ready to deliver for the district and for the taxpayer. Just like a teacher's effort sets their students up for success, Midstate's effort has laid the groundwork for a strong and successful.
Thank you. Monica Nelson.
There was a statement made tonight about the recall and how it didn't feel right that something was projected or said that wasn't accurate. And that's how Midstate's feeling right now. We are a great contractor. We do what we say. We work hard. We're here because we want to be. We work because we love what we do. So allegations or comments made derogatory, they are not true and they're not appropriate. So I've been with Midstate 29 years. It's the third general contractor I've worked for. Midstate is so invested in their coworkers, their clients, their consultants, their subcontractors, and our tenure is phenomenal. We have more than 10 coworkers that have been with Midstate, currently with Midstate for more than 20 plus years. I'm 29, and there's quite a few that you're going to hear tonight. So this is phenomenal to have that kind of strength, professionalism, continuity, and it's proof of why Midstate has been so successful for 90 years. We're not just builders, we're professionals. We're proud of our performance. We like what we do. And we're community-rooted individuals who have spent decades contributing and enhancing Northern California with integrity and precision. And Midstate was signatory, as you've heard. I grew up in a Teamsters family. We have lots of teachers with our spouses in our company. And the decision tonight on the selection of the general contractor should not be based on signatory status or signatory favoritism. It should actually be awarded on industry standards, pre-qualification processes of a general contractor for experience, project type, safety, EMR rates, financial stability, their references, and then when they submit the proposal, so awarding to the low responsible qualified bidder. And Midstate is the low responsible qualified bidder for Pacifica. We're entering into our 10th workforce housing project. And to quote Jack Gardner,
Okay. Mikhail McChristian.
Good evening. My name is Mikhail McChristian. I am the project administration manager for Midstate. I have worked there for a little over 10 years, so not quite the 29, but get back to me in 19 and I'll still be there. So I oversee the project coordinators while also I work as a project coordinator myself. In this role, my team and I, we work as a bridge between the office and the field. And we connect the Midstate team with the owners, with the design team, with the subcontractors through accurate and efficient documentation. Our proven strength lies in exceptional document control, ensuring every RFI, submittal, drawing, and project record is accurate, current, and accessible. Through disciplined processes supported by powerful tools and databases, such as Procore and Viewpoint, we maintain full transparency, accelerate approvals, and prevent costly delays. While these platforms aid our system, it is our proactive management and attention to detail that streamline workflows, minimize errors, and keep projects on schedule from start to finish. We also we're also highly adaptable and can integrate with any document management system that the owner prefers. When you partner with Midstate, you're not just hiring a contractor. You're choosing a team that combines decades of expertise with cutting-edge technology to deliver your project successfully every step of the way. On a personal note, I do want to express my appreciation for the integrity and the values that Midstate upholds. I enjoy going to work every day because I'm surrounded by dedicated, hardworking people that set a great example, and that starts from the very top. I'm grateful for the owner's open door policy and the care shown for both employees and all of our families. I really do value my position and career at Midstate Construction, and I have great trust in the company and its people. Thank you for your time in considering Midstate.
Okay. Bill Gary.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak for Midstate Construction. My name is Bill Gary. I am a superintendent for Midstate Construction. Though it was decades ago, I'm also a graduate of the Carpenters Union Local 470 apprenticeship program and was a union carpenter for 11 years. I've been part of the construction trade for 41 years. Projects I've completed recently is a large 119 unit project that finished under budget and on time. I just completed a 50 unit affordable housing project, which completed on budget and on time. And I'm currently working on a 70 unit affordable housing project that is on schedule right now currently, and I will finish it on time. Tonight, I've been asked to discuss one of the Carpenters Union's talking points, project safety. At Midstate, safety starts with our Midstate safety team. Midstate's full-time safety consultant, a full-time safety coordinator, and a project superintendent make up that initial safety team. And we do specific project safety. It is the task of that team to recognize specific safety concerns, new OSHA requirements, and to coach, teach, and mentor all of our employees to all Cal OSHA and Midstate safety rules. Midstate also empowers its employees and subcontractors in the see something, say something culture. We encourage them to look out for each other and to bring safety concerns forward immediately. In addition to that, once the project starts, Midstate has weekly foreman's meetings, which coordination is discussed along with safety items. These are site-specific safety items because every site is a little bit different. We consider every part of the safety of the project in these meetings, and they're discussed daily. The union wants to claim Midstate does not care about workers or worker safety. That's a blatant false statement. And nobody likes blatant false statements. Midstate, as a non-union contractor, is what stands between a $47 million project and a $53 million project. Having qualified and experienced non-union contractors bidding on these projects keeps everybody's pencil sharper for more competitive pricing. Midstate will be celebrating, as you heard, 90 years this month. The current owner of Midstate, Roger, who you met earlier, has owned the company for over 45 years. He's highly respected and well-known in the building community. As evident in the overwhelming number of correspondences that you received from repeat and former and present clients and subcontractors, Midstate is very qualified and the right contractor for this project. General contractors don't stay in business for 90 days, let alone 90 years, if they don't care about safety, workers, and their clients. Thank you for your time. Not bad.
Benet Varela? Good job with the names.
Good evening. My name is Benet Varela, and I'm here tonight in support of my company, Midstate Construction. This is my 15th year at Midstate. I began working as a project coordinator and also assist in the safety department. My primary role at Midstate is the insurance administrator, where I review each project's documentation to determine specific insurance and additional insured requirements, and work with each subcontractor and sub-tiers to obtain contract compliance. Obtaining the proper insurance limits and additional insureds is very time-consuming, and it involves a lot of interaction with our subs and their agents, and is very important and a vital role in Midstate's successful project delivery. Midstate has always been a fair and secure place of employment, and I'm proud to work alongside of all these hardworking and dedicated employees here tonight, as well as those I work with each day. Midstate is more than just a job. It's a rewarding place to grow, contribute, and belong. I'm a native San Franciscan, born, raised, educated, and employed in the city where I also started my family. At age 33, I moved to Sonoma County, where I've continued to build my life. I've come from a family with strong union ties and with some strong union roots. My father was a member of the Embalmers Union. One brother belonged to the Teamsters Union, and another brother owned a very successful tile and marble union shop. While I've always worked for non-union companies, I've been treated very fairly, have earned good wages, benefits, and have had the opportunity for growth. I'm not only proud to be a part of a company that values its employees, but I'm also grateful to be a part of a workplace that treats you like family. Thank you.
Art Diaz?
Good evening. I heard a comment that the evidence could not be here tonight because they had to work. My day starts at 4:30 every day. I live in the East Bay, drive to Sacramento, and now I'm in Pacifica. Same with my teams. Anyways, my name is Art Diaz. You know, I'm proud to be a project superintendent for Midstate Construction. For the 22 years I have worked for Roger Nelson, the top 4 topics in our meetings have always been employee safety, meeting customer schedules, delivering a quality product, and protecting and looking after our customers' best interests. I take pride in my work and try to meet the schedule. So when I hear false statements from the Carpenters Union, I take it personal, especially since I work in both venture projects. The Santa Rosa Charter School had unforeseen conditions, added scope, and weather delays. So what did Roger Nelson do to meet the schedule? Midstate added me and another superintendent and divided the work among the 3 of us to get it done. That's who we are. We get it done. The delays with the Delton High School science buildings was caused by incorrect as-bills not showing the massive underground utilities that ran through the proposed location. To keep the school open, we worked weekends and late hours to relocate the utilities while working on a part of the building to keep the project moving forward. We have 3 schedules that we use to assure that we hit the target dates. The first is the overall project schedule. It's a fixed schedule that matches the duration of the contract timeline and is presented to the owner for approval. Once the project starts, we create a short-term look-ahead weekly updated schedule in depth to focus the upcoming tasks and activities. It gets sent out to all the subs and reviewed with all the on-site foremen on Monday mornings. This schedule provides a detailed view of what needs to be done in the next 5 to 6 weeks, allowing the team to anticipate and address potential issues, manage resources effectively, and ensure that the project stays on track. The third is called CPM, Critical Path Method Schedule, which is a project management tool used to estimate the minimum project duration and determines the sequence of tasks that must be completed on time. It identifies all activities, establishes the order of tasks in which task depends on others. It calculates the time required to complete each task and determine the longest sequence of dependent tasks that dictate the project minimum duration. We're a great company to work with, and we will deliver your project on time if the opportunity is given. Thank you guys for hearing me out.
Okay, just to let the board members know, we have 4 more speakers, and I think we do want to hear from them, but it has been 20 minutes. So if it's okay with everybody on the board to let the 4 remaining because they came so late.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have to officially vote? Okay.
You have to make
So-
motion to.
To extend, okay. Okay. Okay.
And motion passes 4-0.
Okay, so Justin, Karen?
Good evening, board members. Thanks for having us here tonight. My name is Justin Carone. I started with Mid-State 27 years ago as an apprentice, graduated to being a superintendent that I am today. Thanks to the great leadership and mentorship that I've received through many of our coworkers that have been here longer than I. Most recently, we finished a 129-unit apartment complex in Santa Rosa, 3 months ahead of schedule and under budget, crediting back roughly about $250,000 to this owner. Affordable housing, which means people are in those homes early. We did this with non-signatory and signatory subs working together hand in hand. No divisiveness, everyone working as a team, which is what we do, and that's how our approach is. In Mid-State, we know building great people, building the community around us, helping them grow, and giving them opportunities to grow is what they do best. For training, we do North Bay Construction Court, which is we reach out to local high schools, visit those high schools, go to their shops, do instructions on the weekends and at nights to bring those individuals into the trades, pushing higher education for everybody, giving them an opportunity to get into a trade, or at least try one out and see if that's the path for them. We also invite them to the job site for a internship at the end of their sessions of construction corps. Usually it's a 2-week term, and then we have hired 3 construction corps interns who have worked with us from 3 to 5 years now. Despite the noise from the opposition, Mid-State remains committed to what truly matters: affordable housing, local jobs, sustainable community that your teachers will be proud to live in. Thank you.
Okay, Wes Berry?
Madam Superintendent, members of the Board of Trustees, thank you. Good evening, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak on behalf of Mid-State Construction and the award of the Pacifica Workforce Housing Project. My name is Wes Berry. I've been a member of the team at Mid-State Construction for over 28 years, where I'm currently the Vice President of Project Management. As you may have noticed, the team here at Mid-State is passionate, enthusiastic when it comes to our commitment for our organization and our work product. When statements are made publicly that paint an inaccurate and disparaging image of our organization, we can't stand by quietly. And that is why you see many of us here to defend our shield and to defend the competitive bid market in the state of California. but we'll get back to that. Midstate Construction is committed to schedule, quality, and community. Community, something that we've been hearing a lot about today. In fact, it's one of the tenets of your system profile, effective two-way community between family and staff relationships. In my years at Midstate Construction, I have seen the completion of hundreds of projects, but it's our affordable housing projects. And whether the flavor is veterans housing or senior housing or assisted living or interim housing for those that are homeless, when we complete an affordable housing project, we not only provide homes, but we provide community. Each ribbon cutting ceremony that we attend is just a example of the community that we're able to build. One of the vital pillars of any community is stability. Once construction is completed and residents move in, Midstate supports the stability of each of our projects and each of those community through prompt and complete response to warranty and callback issues. Our commitment to that stability extends beyond the contractual limits of a 1 or 2 year warranty. With 90 years of history, our projects are provided with manpower and coworkers who are willing to provide stability to the residents within the communities they live. The representatives of the Midstate team here tonight are here not only to defend our organization, but we are also here to defend the competitive bid market in California. After being pre-qualified by the district to bid the Pacifica Workforce Housing Project, Midstate submitted our bid and was determined to be the lowest responsible bidder. Then all of a sudden, the cries of injustice were released by a few who were not satisfied by that outcome. In the same tactic used by my adolescent teenagers, when a decision was made that they disagreed with, they started throwing a temper tantrum, distorting and twisting truths, which you've been subject to. You're hearing the bellowing and bluster from a bunch of spoiled kids. These kids did not get their way. Pen. He's ready to sign the contract. Please award the contract to us tonight. Thank you.
We have Darren Clark. If I'm reading that correctly.
My name is Darren Clark. I'm a Carpenters Local 217, San Mateo County. I spoke here last August, and I'm here to reiterate what I spoke then. This workforce housing project is critically important, not just because it provides needed housing, but because it can set a high standard for construction in our community. This means hiring contractors who pay prevailing wages, hire locally, uses apprentices, and provides health care to workers. But I want to raise a serious red flag. Midstate's bid is suspiciously low compared to the second lowest bidder. That doesn't just raise eyebrows, it raises serious questions. Has the bid price been calculated correctly? And if so, is Midstate attempting to avoid paying prevailing wages to cut costs? This concern isn't hypothetical. It's reinforced by recent civil wage and penalty assessments issued against Midstate Construction and their subcontractor, TMC General Construction, where over $2 million in unpaid wages and penalties were assessed for prevailing wage violations. That is not a clerical mistake. That is wage theft. Alongside documented performance issues, the severity of this recent CWPA raises real concerns about whether Midstate is a responsible bidder under California law. Can this truly be trusted to deliver a project while protecting workers and taxpayers? This board has a responsibility to ensure accountability. Projects like this must be built by contractors who pay area standard wages, use certified apprentices, and provide health care, not by low-road contractors who misclassify workers, commit wage violations, and put public funds at risk. Let's also not forget, local hire provisions mean paychecks stay in this community. Apprenticeship opens the doors to lifelong careers for local youth, and healthcare keeps workers and their families safe without burdening our hospitals and taxpayers. Thank you very much.
Nils Delander.
Good evening. My name is Nils Zelander. I'm a field representative for Carpenters Local 217 here in San Mateo County. I'm here tonight because the project, the Pacifica Teacher Housing, is important. It's about supporting educators, building community, and doing things right the way. That's why we're concerned about the bid submitted by Midstate Construction. The past performances issues are documented, and the recent CWPA only adds to the uncertainty. It makes us on alert whether the bid was put together responsibly and whether it means standards required by state law. What's especially alarming is a $6 million gap between Midstate's subcontractor list and that of Robert Abiyashi, a responsible contractor known for competitive, responsible bidding. When prevailing wage is required across the board, how can such a large difference make any sense? With this large difference, we believe Midstate may not be abiding by the state prevailing wage. So this is about making public projects are built by contractors who respect workers and follow the law. You can bring the whole company out here and say how responsible you are, but when you don't pay carpenter living wages on all jobs, how responsible is that? Thank you for your time and taking these concerns seriously.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll go on with the presentation by Dr. Ladd and Brookwood Group.
The next item is we have Lev Weisbach from Brookwood Advisors to provide a presentation on the general contractor contract for the workforce housing project. This item was presented at the board on the August 20th, 2025 board meeting and tabled for tonight is being brought back for further discussion and potential action. Thank you.
Thank you, Martha. Good evening, board and superintendent. We're going to try to go quickly because I know the hour's late and we've heard a lot of speakers. We wanted to do a really quick kind of recap of the bidding process so that everybody in the room is familiar with what process we went through. We pre-qualified 6 general contractors after receiving 9 pre-qualification packages. We pre-qualified Block Construction, Cahill, Centric, Guzman, Midstate, and Robert Sobayashi. We followed with an RFP issuance in June. 2 of the contractors, Block Construction and Centric, decided not to bid, so we moved forward with 4 bidders. Brookwood has been working on the project. Oh, I have to take care of it myself. Brookwood has been working on the project for 10 years, as has been noted, and we have been tracking costs over the time that we've been working on the project, and we had an update of the cost prior to bidding, and the projected cost estimate was for the project to be a $53 million project. Due to the market conditions, Brookwood advised the district that we could probably find some savings. We were pretty aggressive about that, and we suggested that we could land a construction contract for $44,775,000. That also did not include a fairly large contingency, which we set aside for change orders during the course of construction. Midstate's bid was $47 million, plus we had an additional $2 million set aside for owner procured items, which brought the total construction to $49 million, which was about $4,225,000 over our projected budget. We came to the next lowest bidder was Robert Sobayashi, which, as you've heard, was another $6 million above the projected hard costs. I do want to note here, because I've heard the accusation that that delta might be a real issue. I want to point out that our largest bid was for $61 million. So the spread was very large between the low bidder to the high bidder. And I would love to understand that, but I don't know that any of us could really undo that tonight.
The next slide is basically a breakdown of the information that we received from the contractors, and this shows across the board general conditions. And the board might not know what general conditions are, but imagine that you're running a company, you have staff, you have equipment that you have to rent, you have facilities that you set up. It's all this thing that sort of they bring to the job to make sure that they can do what they're going to do, including quite a bit of their supervision and labor costs. Bond and insurance, I think, are pretty straightforward. All of the contractors, to some level, self-perform some work. So some of them had a fairly large amount of self-perform work, and others, it was all mostly subcontractor work. With Midstate, most of their work is subcontracted work, with a very small amount being self-performed work. And then you see the last is the overhead and profit, which are generally, fairly consistent across the board as a relationship of the total cost. As was noted, we pre-qualified Midstate. We pre-qualified all of the contractors that we had to bid. We reviewed financial statements. We reviewed the health of the companies. We reviewed references. We reviewed project history. And we did not get any sort of negative input from anybody regarding Midstate. So they were pre-qualified based on all of the work that we did prior to issuing the RFP. Shortly after we received, the RFP was in process and companies were bidding on it. We received, I think the district actually received a letter from Union Local 217 and requested that the district investigate further the allegations made by Local 217. Not having, we were in the middle of the bid process, so we set the letter aside, not knowing what the results of the bidding would be and not having any investigative capacity to further look into the allegations that were raised. So we set the letter aside, and the letter did contain the following allegations: that Midstate had significant project delays, high change order rates, and wage disputes. The evidence provided was over a period of about 10 years, going back to a project in 2015. In our RFP, we had asked for a certain amount of information about any wage disputes or any other issues that might have come up for 7 years. So some of these issues were outside of the range of the period that we asked for information. After the bids were received, we got another letter from NorCal Construction Industry Compliance, pointing out a number of OSHA inspections and some issues with some OSHA inspections and some fines for some of the safety issues that they found. Subsequently, we've done a little bit of research about all of the bidders, and all of the bidders will show up in OSHA's summary of inspections and fines for safety violations. So it's, I think, not necessarily that Midstate stands out among all the bidders in terms of what we found when we looked into the other bidders. We presented at the Board of Trustees meeting, the last meeting on August 20th, a recommendation based on the low bid of $47 million. Even though it was over the projected budget, we had discussions about being able to sort of reach that difference and being able to afford to move forward with the construction of all 70 units. Based on the union's participation in that meeting and their the discussions, the board tabled any action at the time. So since that time, well, between the two meetings, I should have had some water while we were waiting for so long. There were a number of letters that were received from, as was mentioned, from a number of Midstate's clients and other colleagues that they have that all sing their praises. Midstate is working locally on the water building for the water district, and the general manager of the water district reached out and said that they were very pleased with Midstate's performance on the water district project, which is just down the road. I understand the board is in a very difficult position. So what we wanted to do was talk about what happens next. The project, the bid from Midstate is over the project budget, and all of the other bids are way out of range from what was projected. So the board has the option to reject all bids and to rebid the project. We've outlined that there are a couple of different options, which were also discussed prior to the issuance of the original RFP, which is to hard bid the project again, but this time hard bidding it with alternate phasing options with a reduced unit count, or try to procure the project using a lease-back method. The lease-back method might provide some opportunity for a little bit more constructability review and reducing potential change order rates over the path of the project. And there's some important notes at the bottom of this slide. However, the board decides to proceed. As you know, we've completed the hazardous materials removal a couple months ago, and the building really needs to probably come down as soon as possible because it's sort of a community liability. So we would recommend under any circumstance, thank you, under any circumstance to move forward with the demolition on a separate contract. Thank you. And one other recommendation in order to deal with any union concerns in the future is to consider a project labor agreement as part of the bidding process. Real quickly, hard bid, our recommendations for these phasing options is the board knows the project was originally conceived of in 2 phases, with 45 units being the first phase and 25 being the second phase. And we voted back in December to move forward with all 70 units because of the sort of cost per unit and the economies of scale to do the whole project as a single phase. We're suggesting that we would go back and we would then bid out the project as a 2-phase project, so we could separate what it would cost to build 45 units or all 70. And then in addition, there are 8 townhome units in phase 2, which we could potentially remove from phase 2 to reduce that to only a 17 unit phase. So that would end up with a total project of 62 units. The phasing, the 1 phase and 2 phase where we complete all 70 has been approved by the city planning office. If we were to remove the 8 units, we would likely have to go back to city planning and have a negotiation with them about how to deal with the fact that we've sort of changed the overall design. The issue there is that those 2 buildings, the city wanted to make sure that the parking was not visible from the street and that the buildings that were on Odstat were in scale with the residential projects across the street. We remove those 2 buildings. It opens up the parking to visibility from the residents across the street, and also opens up the visibility to the apartment building. So there might be some pushback, and so the process and duration of going through that planning review is TBD at this point in time. Hard bid pros and cons. By doing the phasing, we can establish a scope of work that more closely aligns with the project budget. So if we can build the 45 units or the 62 units and come closer to our target, it would be in the district's interest. If we were to proceed that way and include a project labor agreement, then it would address concerns that the union has brought forward. Cons, obviously, it's taken a lot of time to get to where we are today, and rebidding is going to push this out quite a bit. There's a lot of process to go through. If PLA is put in place, that would have to be negotiated. So there's a lot of time involved in this rebidding process. And while we're going through that, construction inflation and any other costs, such as impacts from tariffs, will continue to go up. So any savings that we're hoping to get will diminish as we move forward and are not in the ground. I know the union's not going to like this, but our experience has been that PLAs will increase the cost of a project. There's monitoring and additional fees that go along with the requirements for the PLA, and the PLAs would require 100% union participation. So it's a pretty significant impact. And at this time, we're imagining that construction is going to be delayed well into next year. Leaseback has many of the similar pros and cons. The one potential pro would be the opportunity to go through a constructability review and developing the budget with a little bit more fine grain with a contractor during pre-construction services. But we do know that we've had this discussion in the past, and the board has not been in favor of the potential lost competitiveness of going through a leaseback process. So I think that kind of catches all the things that we wanted to go over. Final comment would be that if we were to parcel out the project and want to do phase one, and we've talked about before, there might be some opportunities in phase two to try to finance the project in a little bit more non-conventional way and engage either in a public partnership process, potentially ground lease to another developer who might build the last 25 units, and a number of other alternatives that we've talked about, just so that the board is aware that if we were to just do the 45, there still is some work in the future regarding the phase two. With that, is there any questions?
I do have a question. I have a question about the units. If there are unoccupied units, what happens?
Well, that's been brought up as an issue before, and how that would impact revenue from the apartment rentals. And I know I thought that we've discussed that at a past meeting, that the state is in the process of passing a new statute this year where an adjacent school district or public employees of the area, if you have vacancies, will be eligible. In the past, it was only to the district employees, but the state has recognized this as an issue, and there's I believe it's passed the assembly and is waiting for action on the Senate. So we don't see that as an ongoing issue, and we're 2 years out from having occupancy. And this, if it doesn't get settled this year, it's likely to get settled before occupancy.
It actually passed the Senate last week.
It did. Okay.
It passed the Senate last week, and it's gone back for review to the Assembly and then to the governor's desk. So
great.
It's passed the Assembly and it's passed the Senate. So it's not signed yet, but fingers crossed. So there should be no empty units the way it's written.
Okay. Trying to pull my thoughts together. This is a difficult thing. I have to say that when it comes to labor unions, I definitely listen. And then I see Mid-State brought out the big guns. They brought the women employees. So that's saying something to me as well. However, I read and I listen. And where I am right now as a board member, I want to save that $6 million. I do. But I also see a civil wage penalty assessment. And I'll point out that Mid-State is the prime contract or primary contractor, and it was the subcontractor that got the penalty. So I'm paying attention. So where I am right now to you guys is, I think rebidding is too much. And I have a suggestion. I'm not, if you force me to vote tonight, I'll vote. That's where I am. Might not be the vote that everyone wants. However, I see, is it Local 217? I see that you guys, at some point, you all had to work together. I feel like my suggestion is that Mid-State and 217 need to have a conversation. And for me personally, if 217 and Mid-State come back in 3 weeks and say, we figured it out, it's going to work, then we can save $6 million in my book. But if that's not going to work, I like I said, I feel the passion on both sides, but I can't in good conscience. I just, like, to me, this is so difficult. I can't vote on this. I would prefer not to vote on it, but I know we have to get this ball rolling. So that's where I am. Like, I would like to see them work together and figure it out, because it seems like there's a lot of tension there, but you guys have had to have worked together at some point. Has to be somewhere at some point. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, so,
Sorry, something I appreciate from this presentation is seeing an option to rebid, like considering we are over budget. So there's just that thought.
Yeah, just to reiterate, we can't take the step up and take a second low bidder. I mean, that's not an option. So we would have to rebid. Participation would be, also a question of doing it again.
I'm thinking that since, I mean, I want to get it done. It's been my project for 10 years, so every delay, even 3 weeks, drives me crazy.
I know it drives me crazy.
But since all of them unfortunately came up above what our budget is, and even if we can scrape things together, I'm sure Dusty back there is probably staring me down, our accountant person, our budget person. So by having if they rebid and separated them, because of course we wanted all 70 and the city wants all 70. But if we bid it out at 45 and at 62 and then the other 25, we could still possibly do a combination of maybe us do the 45 and, like they said, maybe we can land lease to somebody for the other 25 and still get the 70 in, but we know the amounts we're dealing with. And then our part would be under budget. And if we did the 62 units, if the city approved that, which is better than I'm not getting any of them, we would still, have the housing for the teachers, but save on our budget. But with everything this year, with co-locating the schools and trying to keep our budget in line.
Right.
Yeah, I'm afraid even the 47, I think it's 49 million with the other costs too. And then I think every project any of us have ever had has change orders, even if it's your own kitchen at home. So that would be added on there possibly too.
Yeah.
So that's what worries me. But I'd like a chance to see them all be built. But not destroy our budget at the same time.
Yeah. Another piece of it, something that came up with a lot of guest speakers, is our fiduciary duty. And considering the difficult year we had last year, I want to make the right decision for the community. So there's that. I mean, also, I don't know. The budget's concerning.
So are we deciding to?
I'm probably the most conservative one out of these other board members right now, and I don't want to go over budget. I want to be responsible in our budget. We just did an overhaul of our school district last year, and I don't want to go over budget. So I would be very conservative on rebid and looking at a different option.
So if we went out for rebid and had those, then it would come back before us to decide what combination thereof at a future date. But
Yes.
or
Yes.
Shep or
Yes.
I'm used to looking at Shep. Sorry,
He doesn't have a microphone. Don't give him the microphone. I know, yeah.
But I mean, in other words, so that
Yeah,
would not be
yeah.
a done deal. We would
Right.
we would see what the bids came back at and then see whether our budget could afford the 45 or
Right.
70 or 62, or maybe we can find a partner for the other 25 by then.
Right. And we'll have to check in with John about, whether we can use our pre-qualification. We already went through, we have to go through another pre-qualification round and,
Oh, yeah.
and what contractors would be interested in pursuing it, given the potential reduced scope and all that.
So if they had already bid on the 70, is it easier for them at this point to break that up into phase 1, phase 2 bids, or to some degree? But no.
Some of their subcontractors might not be available for, this round. And that would, they each have to individually answer that question.
Sorry, what, not sorry. Is Measure G, are funds from Measure G starting to?
They won't come in until December.
December,
yeah.
December.
So, we don't, because we virtually have them to spend, but we don't really have them to spend yet.
So what is it we have to decide on, right?
Well, listening to everyone worry about the budget. I could make a motion to go out for rebid and to rebid as those sections. And then they had in the putting in the other parameters of.
Right, and adding the local, they have to
Yeah.
hire locally,
Yeah.
yes.
That would be my motion. Would there be a second?
I'll second that.
In favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4.
Did I word it correctly? I think so, okay.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Delays.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Okay, item, oh,
Yeah. it's nine.
is everyone in favor of a 5-minute break?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a 5-minute break. And Dusty staring me down. Okay, we're back from break, but before we start with you, we need to do one more item with the last item. So we voted to go forward with a rebid. We did not officially vote to reject the bids from August. So I will motion to reject the bids from August. Do I have a second?
All in favor, please raise your
Okay.
hands. Motion passes 4.
Okay, and then I think the other one stands with the rebid.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, and now we have the resolution 2025-09-10-B, adoption of the GAN. Dusty.
Main Board of Trustees, Superintendent Bowman, Cabinet, the rest of us that are here. So this is kind of a pro forma thing. Every year you're required, all school districts are required to take with their unaudited, but as a separate item, the GAN limit. So way back in 1988, Paul Gann brought to the voters Proposition 4, and it said, we need to limit the amount of state taxes that we can be raised. And so all the agencies have a limit, an appropriations limit is what they call it. And so there's this calculation within the state documents that goes through. I go through and I look and I go, what's the amount on line 10? And if it's a 0, I bring one budget resolution to you. And if it's a different amount, I bring a different budget resolution. We are not required to adjust our GAN limit. You are required simply to adopt the board resolution that we have brought forward to you. And then I'll send it to the county and we'll be all done. Any questions?
Okay, no questions? Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-09-10-B? The GAN limit?
Oh, motion.
Do I have a second? Okay. Item E, recognizing Hispanic Heritage Month and Latin Heritage Month, September 15th through October 15th, resolution 2025-09-10-C. Dr. Torres.
This evening, we bring forward Resolution 2025-09-10-C, recognizing National Hispanic Heritage Month, Latina Heritage Month, observed from September 15th through October 15th. From mid-September to mid-October, Americans honor the heritage, history, traditions, and cultural diversity of Hispanic and Latinx communities, whose roots trace in Spain and 19 countries and territories across Latin America and the Caribbean, including Mexico, Central and South America, Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the Dominican Republic. This observance is celebrated beginning September 15 to coincide with the independence anniversaries of 5 countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. Mexico and Chile follow with their independence celebrations on September 16th and 18th, respectively. The 30-day period also includes Dia de la Raza, Indigenous Peoples Day, in mid-October. National Hispanic Heritage Month was first established in 1968 as a week-long celebration under President Lyndon Johnson, and later expanded to a full month by President Ronald Reagan in 1988. Since then, each U.S. president has issued a proclamation to honor the month. Each year, the National Council of Hispanic Employment Program Managers selects a theme for the national celebration. This year's theme is Herencia Colectiva, Honrando el Pasado, Inspirando el Futuro, Collective Heritage, Honoring the Past, Inspiring the Future. Recognizing Hispanic Latina Heritage Month carries special significance here in California, San Mateo County, and the Pacifica School District, where Latinx students represent the largest ethnic student group. This observance provides us with an opportunity to celebrate not only the achievements, but also the cultural, linguistic, and community contributions of the Latinx community locally and nationally. It is recommended that the board approve Resolution 2025-09-10-C, formally recognizing September 15 through October 15, 2025 as National Hispanic Heritage Month and Latina Heritage Month in the Pacifica School District. And we do have the resolution attached.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to adopt resolution 2025-09-10-C?
I make a motion to adopt.
Have a second?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
Can I
Thanks.
just make a comment? I wanted to put out there for anybody who wants to celebrate. One of the greatest events I went to was Dia de los Muertos.
Mhm.
Can't hear you.
One of the best Latino events I went to was Dia de los Muertos, and that was the one in Redwood City. And I'm kind of biased because I had a cousin who was a mariachi in there, but it was just so beautiful with the ofrendas and.
That would be November 2nd.
What did I say?
It would be November 2nd.
Yeah, it's
Not
November
technically
2nd.
in the,
November 2nd, but it's just one of those wonderful family, friends, what have you events.
so, because this is September 15th to the October 15th, so it does not technically include Dia de los Muertos, but it's November 2nd. It's also my daughter's birthday, so that's why I know that one. Okay. Now we have item F, approval of district technology plan. Cyrus?
Hello again. I don't want to take too much of you guys' time. Around just 1 hour should be fine because this is the main, document that I'm gonna go over it. So, technology plan is the 3 years plan for the IT department to show, what direction the IT department need to go and how we can support, the student and the teacher in the classroom. Sorry, I'm not seeing it. So these technology plan, start, the initial draft started in, end of February 2025. And our team, they put some information, like answering the question about the networking, student information system, and, how our technician, helped the district. So it got rewritten based off, those questions, those answers. So after that, it was shared with, library technician media and get feedback from them, rewriting it. There was a tech community, for the first time, in the Pacifica School District to get feedback from the teacher, what they need in the classroom, not just, seeing everything from the IT vision. In, I believe it was in April 14. So around 20 people, a staff member, they attend, they give us feedback, what they need in the classroom. So this tech plan was again rewritten based off their input. And this doesn't mean this tech plan, it's going to be like this for the next 3 years. No, every year based off the technology, based off the need of the site, need to be reviewed, need to be, adjusted. So this technology plan is based off, how we can, support the teacher in the classroom and the curriculum, that is, the ESS department decided that, need to be teach in the room. So it's kind of, like a bringing the technology, in the way that, it can be used in the classroom. For example, if I want, sorry, I lost what I was saying. There is so much information in my mind right now. So if I want to, mention that, for example, in 2011 and 2016, the library tech media was approved by the board. And there was, their main focus at that time was, just introducing the 21st century, skills to the school. But there was a gap that, there wasn't any focus on what's, the classroom needed, what's the student, needed in the classroom. And there was some, they made some improvement, but there was, after the 2016, there is no documentation from IT department that, they have like a vision where they are going. So that put us, in the area that
that, we are facing so many challenges. For example, as of today, we have close to 4,000, device Chromebook that it buy between 2019 to 2020, and approximately costs around 350 to 400, which is over, $1.4 million. And the life expand for the Chromebook is between 5 to 6 years. If we get lucky, maybe, Google say this model can be, like updated for like 1 more years. But because there is no any plan, maybe in the next 2-3 years, we are facing to replace over 2,000 devices, which, not having that much budget, it will affect us. So also, because there wasn't any tech plan, they purchased more device that we needed. For example, we have approximately around 2,500 students, but we have close to 4,000 devices, which they are going to be stuck in the closet until, they are going to, not be able to update anymore. So this tech plan, is targeting those areas. For example, when it comes to the classroom, most of our projectors, they are outdated. There is no sound system in the classroom, the teacher that they can use. And also, there is like no plan to, for the nowadays most of take IT department focusing on a safety of the student. For example, in most of the district you can see like a panic button on the wall that the teacher they can use, but unfortunately we don't have that infrastructure in the IT. So these tech plan issue those areas that we need to be focused on. It's talking about the budgeting problem that we are having, because most of our budget comes from the major G that we are hoping. But the plan is, because it's focusing on the upgrading the classroom, not anymore, just buying the device, not, buying the Apple device, which they are super expensive for us. So it's kind of, talking about that we need to have that in plan in the next 3 years and, to supporting the student. There is no, for example, our projector is limited to the just, to the teacher to present their screen, not to the student. Except, but we noticed this, so we just was able to do IVL for this year, so the student can do, sharing a screen. But that's, need plan and budgeting, getting feedback from the teachers. In short, if I want to, explain the whole area of the tech plan, is focusing on what the student need in the classroom and what the teacher need. Based on our research around 2020, over $4 million was invested on the, networking, without focusing on the classroom because of the COVID, and kind of, put us, over like 5-6 years behind updating the, classroom technology. So here, we are just focusing on the classroom. Also, it's talking about how we can support, the school side from the IT department vision, like, attending weekly, in the school side to troubleshoot a student, device problem there, instead of waiting for the librarian to send it to the IT and we troubleshoot it there. So there is a breakdown of the, the plan that, we are going to work on it for facing the 2025 to 2026, which mostly, is gathering information as much as we can without starting any big purchase, or making any changes to get more feedback from, the school side, from the vendor, from their pricing, of what technology is in the market and what can be used, by us. Also planning for the professional development, because we realize that if there is like a really good expensive device or platform, but because it never been introduced or teach to the teacher, they are not aware of it, or they don't know how to use it. So that's another area of focus on the tech plan that we want to focus on it to teach the staff about what we have. The next year, 2026 to 2027, which is people, they will see the changes, because we will start, changing the technology in the classroom, bringing, that interactive, display, or better quality, resolution, projector, or a speaker in the classroom that the teacher or the student, they can use by microphone. And also, again, at that time, again, focusing next to all of those is focusing on the professional development, because it has to, all the time be like a reminding the people how to use it, especially the staff, they are coming and leaving. And the last year, which, the 27, 28, we are hoping that we can finish the upgrade of all of the classroom. We will start in, evaluation of what have been done, what, we could do better, or what area still need to be improved, as well as, planning for the future, because we don't want, that type of gap again happen. We have a 3 years plan for several years, not having again, a start from the beginning. Security and safety related to the IT department, and making, the foundation to be used, based off the student service or, the school, site needed, is another area we want to focus, such as, from the IT vision, we don't want, to have a, regular password anymore that the people, they can, hack to it or they use it. We want, like putting the filtering, compliant with the CIPA. And there is a roadmap, 3 years roadmap for that area as well. And communication engagement, which is one of the main areas we have to work on when it comes to the IT. You guys all know more than me, our website is not that great, so we have to work on it. And we are trying to work on that area, and there is again 3 years plan that we need to work on. And we will make sure, the new designing, the new, planning will comply with the people, they have like a disability when, for the coloring those areas. And personal development, is one of our focus, because most of the people, they are just seeing that as the for the teacher, but we want to start having the professional development for our team too, so they learn the new technology, they learn what we can do with the technology we already have. And yeah, that's another area we want to work on. And again, like, we have an evaluation for each year, what have been done. At the end of, the school year, we are going to work on, the 3 years plan, evaluation, getting report from, the teachers, getting report from the staff and the family, because working on the communication, we want, family be kind of engaged with our plan in the school. Also, again, I feel I jump couple of slides because another area that we want to work on, is introducing, if that's possible, that's our goal, in the tech plan, that we want, provide low cost, internet to the family if they need it, because we notice that we have a lot of, family that they need, so in the school, we notice our students, they have access to the internet. But when they get home, there is no equality, some of them has, that problem. So we want, to work on to have more like a hotspot. We want, to talk to our vendor if they can discount, give discount to the people, they are attending our school, if needed. And in short, if I want to, wrap it up, this tech plan, the main focus is just the student and the classroom. And maintaining what we have, because we want these to go together. We don't want to focus on one area, leave one area behind. And we believe this tech plan added to the, the policy will put us in the place that we can start, making the change that, that can help the, our students. Any question?
I would just say, what bucket of money are we going to go into for technology? Because we have to. It's a priority.
Yes.
Because I just remember what happened when we did get behind in technology. Remember, we had to have the whole rewiring of the whole district.
Yeah.
And then I know that some PTOs bought technology for their classroom or the teachers, but it wasn't specified to whatever goes on with all the stuff that we pay you to do.
So, exactly, so the main of this tech plan is transparency, to show the people what we are doing, what it's cost us, what is going to be improved. Honestly, if this tech plan, for example, get approved tonight, tomorrow will be published on our technology website. So we don't want, that type of things happen, because we are aware of those situations in the past. So we try, to tell in the site, please, any technology need, please ask us first before, you talking to anyone to purchase anything, because we have to make sure those devices, we are able to manage them. If the device is inside the school, it's part of our responsibility, to take care of it. The budgeting is one of our biggest problems right now. I believe they allocate $2 million from Major G for the technology. Based on our research, each classroom will cost $17,500 for the improvement. And that's not including the rewiring for the sound, HDMI, USB-C. So approximately we have 120 classrooms. So that's, will pass the $2 million. Also, our annual budgeting get cut, which, we are hoping in the future, that will address them. But honestly, I feel really positive about it, because when we start this change, we don't need to have the 100% of the money in place. Like I mentioned, this is a 3 years plan, so we have to start from one point to start improving the classroom, because those affecting us. It's hard for us to troubleshoot it every time we go to the classroom. Honestly, each classroom has a different setup. It takes us like 10-15 minutes to figure out what's going on. And that's affect the teachers. That affect the student, So we want to start, working on those areas and not waiting, for the perfect moment that everything is in the place.
I want to say that I appreciate this. I think that having a working system in the district is really going to help
Thank you. Yeah.
in general. And I hope that there's like I hope that it'll be introduced to the entire staff, and I'm sure that's something that's definitely possible, like in an accessible way, and also like new hires. Also getting that information will be important, but I think it sounds great.
Thank you. And just, just mention something there. So that's one of the area, we are focusing on. That's slightly mentioned to the tech plan because, for example, we noticed there is no onboarding and offboarding package from the IT department, so we are working on that. Whenever we notice that, we're reaching out to the new employee, like making a schedule with them for the time, we can provide them with the proper technology. Also, we reach out to them before they leave. So if they need any, like a personal data, that need to be, transfer or, collection of the device, can follow. But still there is a lot, need to be improved by the time. We are like a toddler right now. We are just, trying to walk to get, to the level that we can be an example for the other district, which is our goal.
And just to follow up with the funding question, the previous bond, there is still money there. It's a small amount of money that can be used. The CTE grant has allowed us to do like an Apple mini labs. We've gotten 3D computers or 3D printers. So we're getting devices as we're building the CTE. And then I am currently writing a 21st century technology grant that hopefully that would be a large chunk of funds coming in. And then lastly, we just really worked on the efficiency of the department, not having extra computers and having a purchase plan and doing it in a more succinct fashion and getting rid of like apps or digital licenses that aren't being used efficiency.
Okay, so this is just to approve the technology plan. Any purchases within technology would come back to us.
Correct.
Okay, so we do need a plan. So I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to approve this without knowing that we're not spending any money. This is just the plan. Okay. Okay, cool.
It's a big project, baby steps. It's going to take baby steps. I'm excited about it.
Well, and like you said, when the PTOs first started buying all the equipment, that was years ago, so much equipment was bought by different groups that we didn't have the technicians to handle it. So we actually had to like stop and have a moratorium of anybody buying any more technology until we could get the IT department fully staffed.
Creates work to
Yeah.
have tech,
There were too many devices for the amount of people that we had.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
That's that's one of the issue we have, honestly. There is so many different model of the items, and some of them need to have a separate, like a MDM, the management system, which costs us a lot, if we want to, have like 4 or 5 different, management systems. So this plan will reduce the cost by the time. And to follow up what Dr. Bowman mentioned, so this year, because, this summer actually, because we were able to do some research, to do the, like a inventory, hard inventory, we were able to not buy teacher device, which, in the previous year, there was a plan to buy over 30, teacher devices, which would cost us over $30,000 because MacBooks are expensive. So even the start of, doing research, doing things based off the plan, it's a start helping us, to save money.
And I think that's great that you're doing the 21st century grant writing.
You'll love it, okay.
See, okay.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the district technology plan as presented?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second. All in favor, please raise your hands. Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Board of Trustees, Superintendent's recap, and future agenda items. Nope. We see no future. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't resist. Okay, you can recap.
I just want to thank everybody who came in for the bidding. They took a lot of time and, they sat in the chairs until their time to speak. I just wanted to thank them for coming. And I realize, that putting out the information for the recall and the costs and all of that, you were responding to requests from the community on what was going to happen. There was no other what have you about putting it out there. It was just to answer the community's questions. And so thank you for that. And Mark Church too. And that's all.
And I'll just say very quickly, I wanted to thank the cabinet because this is the presentations, the policy was a lot of work. And I also wanted to thank San Mateo County Office of Ed for contributing to Dusty's contract and being able to have her here for the amount of time that we need and to have access. And I want to just relay that I'm happy to meet with any parent. I've reached out to several. If they're reaching out to me, I will say that if you want a pre-approved agenda and a pre-approved guest list and what was the other one? Oh, the meeting will be recorded. I will say no to that meeting. But for general conversation, being able to work together, we're super excited and we've had lots of those meetings.
So meeting is adjourned at 9:37. According to that clock.